hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock, because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recyclers Studios, a body bag outside of an Indy event center last night. I'll tell you what the cops are saying about a killing, what forecasters are saying about severe weather, and what the Indiana Pacers are looking forward to in the Eastern Conference Finals. After Fox News, you're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 9 o'clock.
It's the last stop on the Trump trip to the Middle East. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's the fanfare the president arrived to in the United Arab Emirates a short time ago, now meeting with that country's leader. On the way there, President Trump was asked on Air Force One about ceasefire talks in Turkey, where Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky showed up today, but Russian leader Vladimir Putin did not.
Nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there.
Now, before leaving Qatar, there was a Trump rally with American troops.
So I'm thrilled to be here with the men and women who embody American strength and pride, the warriors of the United States Armed Forces.
The commander-in-chief at the Al Udeid Air Base. Earlier in Qatar, the president again talked about never letting Iran build nuclear weapons. Fox's Jonathan Savage reports.
There have been several rounds of talks between American and Iranian negotiators. Now a top Iranian official says his country's prepared to never make nuclear weapons and get rid of its uranium stockpiles. President Trump telling reporters the deal is sort of agreed.
Would like to see if we could solve the Iran problem in an intelligent way as opposed to a brutal way. There's only two, intelligent and brutal. Those are the two alternatives.
Next hour, the Supreme Court will consider another challenge to the president's executive actions. This case relates to his order to end birthright citizenship, not wanting to allow children born to people in the U.S. illegally to be Americans.
The court won't be deciding the final interpretation of the Constitution's 14th Amendment. That is, the guarantee of citizenship to virtually everyone born in the U.S. The issue before the justices is whether lower court judges can block presidential policies nationwide with what are known as universal injunctions.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. We just got an inflation update, and despite the warnings about tariff costs, wholesale prices dropped 0.5% last month from March, and the annual rate of producer price inflation declined in April to 2.4%. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
What happened on Indianapolis's east side last night? Your radar is clear in downtown Indianapolis, where it's 71 degrees. We're going up to a high of near 90. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:02. A woman was shot and killed Wednesday night outside of an event center on Indianapolis's east side. IMPD says they were called out to a location along Massachusetts Avenue just after 9:30. They found a woman with gunshot wounds. They pronounced her dead at the scene. They said they're searching for a man, but they have not expanded on his description or talked about any arrests. Severe weather will move across the state later today.
We're looking at quite a chance of some large hail, maybe even some storms. Stronger storms could have hail larger than 2 inches in diameter, which is not as common here in central Indiana. And, of course, winds. We could even have some gusts up to 70 to 80 miles per hour.
That's Alex McGinnis at the National Weather Service. A Hoosier company is getting some praise from Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr., who says Eli Lilly may help defeat China with pharmaceutical research by opening new facilities on U.S. soil.
I think they've been the most aggressive of any of the pharmaceutical companies about answering President Trump's summons to onshore production.
And Kennedy acknowledged the 9 Lilly facilities on which building has already started as a big help in putting the U.S. at the front of research. A Purdue basketball player named Jace Rail was arrested by Kokomo police last night for OWI. He's facing preliminary charges of operating a vehicle while intoxicated with a blood alcohol level of between 0.8 and 0.15. He made his debut in 23 during Purdue's win over Samford, and he played in 4 games last year. The Indiana Pacers are waiting to see who they will play in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But they at least know when they'll play. I'm John Herrick. By now, you might have heard that games 3 and 4 in the series will be home games for the Pacers, with game 3 being on the same day as the Indianapolis 500, which is May 25th, and game 4 happening on the 27th. The series begins next Wednesday, May 21st. All games in the series will tip off at 8 o'clock in the evening. The challenge for both teams will be that there's only one day between each game. Indiana will play the winner of the series between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks, and that series is still going on. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. With traffic, here's Matt Bear.
Yeah, full run looking at southbound 65 on the south side, a little bit slow out of the south split, and northbound 465 slow on the east side after I-70 up to Penn Pike, inbound 69 kind of slow after 106th Street 282nd. Traffic sponsored by Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They've teamed up with the Indiana Fever and Common Threads to provide local schools with information for nutritious meal preparation. Learn more at anthem.com/fever. Anthem Blue Cross and Blue Shield is the trade name of Anthem Insurance Companies Incorporated. I'm Matt Bear with traffic on the 5s. Follow us at WIBC Traffic.
It's the strongest hearts that remind us to cherish the moments. It's the grandmas who made us sit up straighter, the grandpas who showed us old records, and the parents who were embarrassingly loud at our games. It's those hearts that are anything but ordinary. Caring for extraordinary hearts for decades, Franciscan Health knows heart care is more than just a name on a chart. It's somebody who shaped your whole life. Heal your heart today at franciscanhealth.org/heartcare.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, get 30% off all patio furniture, wicker, Berlin Gardens, poly, cast aluminum, teak, and more.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
Now your forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
Partly cloudy, hot and humid this afternoon. Today's high 88. Scattered showers and storms. This evening, some could be severe, a low of 69. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
And I'm Ryan Hedrick on the level on the go and at WIBC.com. Kendall and Casey starts right now.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Casey, good news.
What's that, Rob?
We're starting the program today. Hitting people with the dose of the Lord.
Okay, we're not talking politics then.
No, I figured, well, there's plenty of time. We've got 3 hours to totally ruin your day. We're going to start with something positive.
Something inspiring, perhaps. I like it.
It is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. That's Casey. This story, and I cannot believe that it is not the lead story in every news publication across not just the country, but around the world. And it does appear in other countries' publications. It is a leading story, but here it's just like sort of some sort of also ran.
Right, some side note.
The Daily Mail has run some stuff on it. The New York Post has run stories on it, that they believe that they have found the site of Noah's Ark mostly preserved.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah, so researchers claim to have discovered it using this radar system, pretty much, and it's in eastern Turkey.
So not a great place to be right now. There, you may have heard it's really between Turkey and Iran, which there's a bit of that's a tumultuous region right now, and it is in an area, a mountain range. It's essentially this. So like you said, they've done this through radar because you can't go there. One, it would be you would not make it out alive. If you were to knock on can you imagine going to the Turkish and Iranian governments and going, I'd like to do some Christian exploration, please.
Yeah, we'd like to go 2 by 2 if you don't mind.
That would not last long, nor would it go well. That's the first part of it. The second part of it is the area itself is essentially uninhabitable. It is basically inside of a volcano, for lack of a better term. So right now, as a Christian, as Christian archaeologists, explorers, etc., it is essentially impossible to get anywhere near this thing. Now, maybe in the future that will change, but through this radar, as you said, they've been able to, based on, and this is what is amazing, this thing that they have found, and based on the view of it, the thing they've been able to put together through the heat sensors, etc., one, looks almost identical to the ark as it is described in the Bible, and two, is in the exact location that the ark is described as being parked, for a lack of a better term, in the Bible. It's unbelievable.
So the formation it's boat-shaped, like you mentioned. It's 538 feet long, and it matches the dimensions that are described in Genesis. And it also has 3 distinct subterranean layers, which aligns with the 3 decks of the ark described in the Bible.
Now, this has been rumored for years, but we've never had visual images of this thing, whatever it may be, believed by many people to be Noah's Ark, and a sort of a visual understanding of what this apparatus actually is, like we do now. And it is, for people who are non-believers, like let's just extrapolate this for a minute, right? So if you're a non-believer, when the Bible was written, there was no images from space. People didn't know the earth was round. Thousands of years after the Bible was written, people believed you would still fall off the earth. They had no idea of exactly what the geography of the world looked like. And yet we are led to believe that with perfect, exact specificity, is that right? That's a hard word to say. They were able to tell you where the ark ended up, and then thousands of years later, it's right there, and this thing looks exactly as the ark was described. That is either the world's, if you're a non-believer, that is one heck of a coincidence.
Okay, so obviously the claim is a bit controversial to some people. They have future plans to do some drilling. But one thing they noted is that there are high levels of organic material, and that means rotting wood. And they also noted that the grass that's growing within the alleged ark area has a different pH balance than outside of the ark area.
And one of the things that's interesting, and they actually talk about this in this article, obviously the story of Noah and the ark is central to those of us who are Christian believers, but Noah and the ark actually appear in multiple religious texts and documents, even those that are not Christian. And so this is an incredible discovery. The idea that now they have been able to the extent they have technology available and the lack of access due to the countries it's surrounded by and the terrain, be able to start putting this thing together. It could be the most significant discovery in modern human history, if indeed they can begin to prove that this is Noah's Ark. It matches the exact descriptions as written in the Bible and in the exact location the Bible described it at.
Okay, so you're talking about a scientific discovery, right, that could really shake up 3 major world religions. But think about the political implications of this. If it were true, Turkey could capitalize on this, and it could become a tourist location.
Well,
right?
this is what Trump's got to do. Trump's in whatever that Iran nuclear deal looks like. My buddy Bart and I were talking about this last night. Whatever they come up with in this new Iran nuclear deal. And Trump, of course, loves the headlines. I'm sure he knows about this. Somebody has shown him this. He's seen it. It's in the New York Post. I know he reads the New York Post. They got to have some sort of thing as part of any nuclear deal in coordination with the government of Turkey that would allow people to go in there and get to the. I mean, this you're talking based on where this thing is. Like I said, it's essentially inside of a volcano. It will take years and years and years and multi-country cooperation. It's not something you just send somebody up there. This is not Indiana Jones, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's got to be a part of this, is the ability to get some sort of agreement to allow people to be able to explore. And it will probably likely take decades to actually get to the bottom of all of this, but do this because it would have such an impact on humanity as a collective if indeed they can prove what they think is in there.
Just think about all the documentaries, the religious media narratives, government funding, even museum exhibits that could take place. It could potentially be a big change for that country, for sure, and the region. Did you hear, was it Joe Rogan talking about the Big Bang versus the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus Christ?
So Rogan has always described himself as, what is it, agnostic?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, you're the Rogan expert. What is it? Rogan describes himself, is it agnostic? Is that the correct way to describe?
Yeah, he was raised Catholic, but now he's agnostic, I believe.
Which means you're open? You're not wed to one thing, but you're open? Is that what that means?
I believe so.
Okay, very good. And what's interesting about Rogan is he seems to, especially in the last couple of years, become more and more open to the idea of not just faith and believing, but the Christian faith. And you're right, he had, I don't know, this guy was a comedian I think he had on with him.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like a bad sitcom character. You ever notice that Rogan is the most popular podcaster in the world, and he always has guys that look like they're out of Mad Magazine on
little disheveled looking sometimes.
Show these guys like he pulled him off a inner city bus stop somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know who this guy was that he was talking to, but you're right, he was talking about the idea of faith, the belief in Christ, the belief in God versus the Big Bang. And I thought this was a pretty interesting conversation they had.
Yeah, he was saying that the resurrection of Jesus Christ is more believable than the logic behind the Big Bang theory.
McKenna's great line. Terrence McKenna had a great line about the difference between science and religion is that science only asks you for one miracle. I want you to believe in one miracle, the Big Bang.
Yeah. That's a good one.
It's a great line.
Yeah.
It's because it really is true.
Yes.
And it's funny because people would be incredulous about the resurrection of Jesus Christ, but yet they're convinced that the entire universe was smaller than the head of a pin, and for no reason than anybody's adequately explained to me. It makes sense.
Yeah. No.
Instantaneously became everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't buy that.
I'm sticking with Jesus on that one. Like, Jesus makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, the non-believer's ability to believe in the miracle of the Big Bang, but not believe in the idea of the death and the resurrection. I mean, it is interesting, right? And everybody's entitled to believe what they want to believe. I'm just saying with this story, I think we should be putting all hands on deck to find out if Noah's Ark is actually in that volcano.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
The grass grows taller. Fathers take sons for their first trip to the Speedway. Sons take fathers to their 50th. Family traditions wrapped in checkered black and white. This is May in Indiana.
Starting to form in a perfect formation.
And this is your station for the month of May.
Green flag flies.
The radio home of the Indianapolis 500 for over 70 years. 93 WIBC.
Greetings, Boomtown. Ever since this neighborhood switched to Xfinity Internet,
the Wi-Fi is booming!
Xfinity combines the power of internet and mobile with one all-in plan.
So we've all got lightning-fast, secure Wi-Fi speeds at home and on the go with Wi-Fi Power Boost from Xfinity Mobile.
You get the most reliable Wi-Fi with our best in-class equipment and unlimited data included. Plus, add an unlimited mobile line.
All for only $40 a month for 1 year. To celebrate this combo, we're mashing our shows together.
It's everything you need all in one plan. Plus, learn how to get a free 5G phone with a premium unlimited line. Now, sit back and relax with the smooth, relaxing sound
of face-melting acid metal!
Brilliant.
Visit Xfinity.com to learn more. Ends June 23rd with paperless billing and autopay stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Xfinity Internet gateway required. Taxes, fees extra. After 1 year rate increases to $110 a month. After 2 years, regular rates apply. Actual Wi-Fi speeds vary. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed broadband experience report August 2024.
Wondering when to plant grass seed for ideal results? Wondering who has the best lawn products? Well, now is the time, and great lawn starts with Jonathan Green products. Hey, Pat Sullivan here from Sullivan Hardware and Garden and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan. And like Sullivan Hardware and Garden, Jonathan Green is a family-owned and operated business. Jonathan Green has only premium quality Black Beauty grass seed, soil foods, and fertilizers to ensure that you achieve noticeably better results on your lawn. By making your work easier and delivering an impressive lawn, Jonathan Green products will turn your lawn into a green space to be enjoyed with family and friends. Black Beauty seed mixtures are sold at Sullivan Hardware and Garden. Improve your lawn with Jonathan Green. Shop, play, experience. Spring with Sullivan's. 71st and Keystone, 49th and Penn, Cicero, and Allisonville Home and Garden by Sullivan in Fishers.
Hi, Jeff Roush for Tom Roush Lincoln. Right now, get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers. Get up to $20,000 off select 2024 Navigators, up to $8,000 off select 2024 Nautilus, or up to $7,000 off select 2024 Corsair at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Navigator MSRP 105,575, Nautilus MSRP 6195, Corsair MSRP 47,820. Offers good through May 31st, 2025. Navigators excluded from employee pricing, subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. It's the Sleep Number Everything Smart Bed sale. Every smart bed and base are on sale during our Memorial Day event. Up to 50% off, plus free home delivery. Limited time. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
David was in big trouble with the IRS.
At first, I didn't owe that much, but after this year, it was out of control.
Then David called Get a Tax Lawyer.
Right away, they were like, oh yeah, looks like you're qualified to save.
Get a Tax Lawyer went to work.
Should have called way sooner.
Get a Tax Lawyer has helped thousands like David fight the IRS and get a fresh start.
Call 800-745-3070. That's 800-745-3070.
Saturday is the Sundown Gardens Spring Open House. Save 20% off everything in stock, excluding labor. Sundown Gardens, 186th Street and Spring Mill Road in Westfield.
Race into Pierce Jewelers in Carmel and make a pit stop to purchase that unique diamond engagement ring that will put you in the winner's circle. Remember, shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Okay, so they've picked a big winner. By big winner, I mean somebody who's going to get a lot of money from the state of Indiana to audit the IEDC.
Yeah, Governor Mike Braun, he ordered that independent forensic audit of the IEDC, and he has selected FTI Consulting. They're based out of Washington, D.C. They're known for high-profile investigations.
Yeah, no, they have been involved. Our news gathering partners at Wish TV had a big story on this. They have been involved with Lehman Brothers and their bankruptcy, the Bernie Madoff stuff, steroid probe, and Major League Baseball. So it's one of the big boys that they brought in to do this. But I cannot imagine, given how the governor still appears, I mean, he just appeared at that big Eli Lilly
groundbreaking
thing, that... Let me tell you how this is going to go.
Oh,
right?
please.
Let me tell you how I think this is going to go, right? They're not going to let IEDC go down. They're not going to not going to there's never going to be some finding that's going to say this was a completely corrupt crony capitalistic endeavor that benefited select mega corporations and people affiliated with facilitating these transactions. Like, they're never going to show that. They will not allow IEDC to go down because they would be See, this is what's frustrating about this. I compare this in many ways to what's going on with the City Hall with Indianapolis and the Joe Hogshead investigation. IEDC did not happen in a vacuum. There was not an IEDC plant started in the back of the State House where little IEDCs grew out of the ground. It's funded and created and maintained by money allocated by our state lawmakers. Why haven't they been able to get to the bottom of it? Think about the resources available to state government. And this has been known and rumored, and people have been shouting about IEDC for years. And yet every year, every 2 years, the budget cycle, the lawmakers throw a bunch more money, our money, at this shadow government entity. And now they're looking around doing the me so stupid routine where we've got to pay an outside company. We don't, by the way, we don't even know how much it is. And the IEDC is paying to audit itself, by the way.
Right. The cost has not been disclosed. It's not going to be cheap.
So, no. FTI is not running a soup kitchen, Casey. You're correct. It's going to be very expensive. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars would be my guess by the time it's all said and done. And these lawmakers have kept giving money to this thing. If you were concerned about it, why didn't you say no more money until we get to the bottom of what's happening?
Right.
It's the same thing going on with City Hall and the Joe Hogsett investigation, in which they've just requested or approved or whatever they're at now, whatever
more
phase,
money.
Hundreds of
Give
thousands
me more
more
money.
When it's like you city councilors have the ability at any time to get to the bottom of what happened with the Joe Hogsett, Thomas Carl Cook allegations involving sexual impropriety by Thomas Carl Cook and Joe Hogsett's role in covering that up. You are the lawmakers. You can cut off his money until he provides you any documentation that you're having trouble getting on your own. And then you're forcing the taxpayers to pay to find out things that you can do. Same thing with these lawmakers. You had the ability at any moment, every budget session, to get any information about the Indiana Economic Development Corporation and present it to the public that you wanted to have out there. You've chosen not to do it. Now you're going to have an outside group come in and what? We think we're going to find, oh, yeah, it was wholly corrupt, and they've blown through millions and millions of taxpayer dollars, and it's produced two things, jack and crap, and it's a giant scam. You think we're going to find that out?
No, I think it's going to be very selective what is revealed after all of this. So it's supposed to identify potential wrongdoing or mismanagement within IEDC and any of their affiliations. And this is something that Braun initiated in response to different media reports. He did campaign on transparency and accountability. This audit is supposed to last between 6 to 12 months.
Now, don't kid yourself about why he did this. Now, here, let's talk about the timeline on this real quick, shall we? So, Braun doesn't say a word about IEDC. He's been in office for basically 3 months. He doesn't say a word about IEDC. If you really believed, hey, this organization is super shady and there's a total lack of transparency, and we got to get to the bottom of this. Wouldn't you have he's signing those executive orders left and right. Wouldn't have that been in the list of things to do? You notice he waited 3 months. When did he do it, Casey?
Just after he won, of course.
After the property tax thing blew up in his face.
Yeah.
That was his goal, and that's why he tried to do this, was to get people to get the news cycle off the property tax. The problem he had is his lieutenant governor on basically the same day or right about that time went out and did the three-fifths thing,
right?
Yeah, which took all the publicity to wipe it off the map.
Yeah.
So that's why he's doing this. He's not going to let IEDC fail. He's not going to let LEAP fail. He's too tied into the Gentrys. Matt Gentry's the mayor of Lebanon. Mike Gentry is his dad. Josh Kelly was Mike Gentry's business partner. Josh Kelly is Braun's chief of staff. They are not going to allow LEAP in Lebanon to fail. LEAP cannot succeed if the IEDC fails. So don't kid yourself. Don't get your hopes up. You're not going to find some sort of smoking gun that's going to take the whole thing down.
Well, of course not. Braun is also the board chairman of the IEDC.
Yeah, Braun could release it all now.
Right. All he has to do is go in and give me the books.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a multi-million-dollar businessman, right? Like, he can't look at these books and say, that seems strange. No, instead, we're going to hire this outside company. Sure.
All right. Jarrett Lewis has the news, and then we got to get into their Spendingburg, our old pal, the Duke of Spendingburg, Todd Young.
He's back at it again.
You know, there is, if there is some crony capitalism to be found, I would put Todd Young at the top of the list of people that are looking to find it. And he's pushing for tax breaks for a major entity here in the city of Indianapolis. But my question is, why isn't he pushing that hard for tax breaks for us, the regular people?
Yeah. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
BJ Nichols and 6-time IndyCar champion Scott Dixon.
Scott, you know watches and race cars have a lot in common. Both are engineered for precision and built to perform.
Exactly. And when it comes to watches and jewelry, I trust the experts at Reese Nichols to deliver the same excellence I expect from my pit crew.
From race-ready watches to designer jewelry and stunning diamond rings, we've got it all.
And at Reese Nichols, I can count on gifts that will always take the checkered flag.
From start to finish, we've got you covered. Reese Nichols Jewelers, Keystone at the Crossing, Greenwood, and at reesenichols.com.
Millions of illegal aliens crossed our southern border under Biden administration policies. But now, things are changing. This is your Congressman, Jefferson Shreve. I'm committed to securing our borders and to protecting our Hoosier communities. I'm delivering for you. Because of Republican leadership, illegal border crossings are at an all-time low. I'm leading the charge to complete the southern border wall and deport illegal aliens. I'm fighting for Indiana and working for you in Congress.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
A strong storm system moves across the state later today. Your radar is clear. It's warm outside, 71 in downtown Indianapolis, moving up to near 90 today. I'm Ryan Hedrick. Here's what's trending at 9:30. A storm system capable of producing strong wind and large hail will move across the state later today.
We consider large hail anything that's an inch in diameter or greater, and that's large enough to create damage, could shred leaves off the trees.
That's forecaster Alex McGinnis at the National Weather Service.
Could do some superficial damage to homes and cars and windshields.
And McGinnis says tornadoes are possible as well later today. The mayor of Newark, New Jersey is due in federal court this morning following last week's arrest for trespassing at an ICE detention center. In Washington, D.C. on Wednesday.
I'm very grateful to Eli Lilly, which has not always been a big ally of mine.
That's Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. speaking to Senator Jim Banks about Eli Lilly potentially being a solution for allowing the U.S. to take back control over the production of medicines. RFK Jr. also talked about his department's budget. Now your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. All three major indices down this morning to start the day of trading. The Dow is down 193 points to 42,051.6. The S&P 500 is down 20.5 to 58,92.58. And the NASDAQ is down 97 to 21,319.21. I'm Ryan Hedrick, on the level, on the go, and at WIBC.com.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hardworking partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
It's Kubota Orange Days. From America's #1 selling compact tractor to zero-turn mowers and versatile RTVs, get your perfect match delivered to your door. Now through June 30th, get zero down, 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,000 off select compact tractors. See the details at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
Stop by McAllister Machinery in Indianapolis to see the full line of Kubota or visit McAllisterKubota.com.
There sure are a lot of memories in that house. It's where you celebrated years of anniversaries and birthdays, where you watched the kids grow, where you relaxed in your retirement. You love it right down to the scuff on the dining room floor and that sticky window in the bedroom. But now the stairs are getting harder, the lawn, the cleaning, the repairs, it's just too much to keep up. And you know it's probably time to downsize. But the thought of getting the house ready to sell is overwhelming. It's time to learn about Simple Quarters. They'll buy your house as is. No repairs, no worries. They handle everything. You take what you want, and you leave the rest. They're a Christian company, so they understand the emotional ties, and they'll be respectful of your memories and feelings as they help you simplify your life. If you're considering downsizing and want a hassle-free way to sell your home, call Simple Quarters at 317-900-HOME. That's 317-900-HOME, or go to simplequarters.com.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
Our old pal, the Duke of Spendingburg, is doing very Spendingburg type of things, Casey.
Yeah, so you've got the Indy 500 approaching. Over 300,000 people expected to attend for the 109th running. And just yesterday, a new bipartisan bill was introduced. It's called the Motorsports Fairness and Permanency Act.
It's called the what?
Yeah, the Motorsports Fairness and Permanency Act.
How about the Taxpayer Fairness Act?
Yeah.
You notice this, that it's always these special groups. And look, obviously the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is a staple of the city of Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
They are great partners to the city, to the state. They're wonderful people. I'm not trying to pick on them by saying this. I'm just simply pointing out that there are always special groups. Like when we look at Roche comes here. Look at the economic development incentives, as they call them, the giveaways, the whatevers.
Right.
$60 million. You look at Eli Lilly. We're going to talk with Nikki Kelly next hour. The grand total's believed to be well over $1 billion. The Motorsports Fairness Act to help the Speedway pay lower taxes.
Well, we're going to hear from Jim Banks later in the show, and he's going to tell you how wonderful all that stuff is.
Do we have to?
We don't have to. We can choose not to.
Jimmy really should do society a favor and say all of the things to us directly. He goes on the other shows on this radio station. Why won't he come on and say these things to us? But okay, so this deals with depreciation and how items inside of these various race courses are allowed to calculate depreciation and makes it more. I mean, it is lowering their tax burden. The mechanism doesn't matter. It's lowering the tax burden, which is fine. It's not this thing that necessarily has me upset. It's that right now, where is Todd Young on leading on the reconciliation bill that would lower applicable tax rates for everyone?
The big, beautiful bill?
You're having to claw to just keep the tax rates where they are. That's what they're doing in the reconciliation bill. The core, while there's all these no tax on tips and all this and that and blah, blah, blah. But the core of the bill is simply keeping applicable tax rates from going up. And you notice it's never the fight or the claw or the battle for you. It's the fight or the claw or the battle for some large entity or mega corporation. And let's face it, that's what IMS is. It exists to make money. Roger Penske loves the sport of racing. Roger Penske has given a lot of money to racing. He's not the Little Sisters of the Poor, though. He is a businessman. He exists to make money, just like Roche exists to make money, like Lilly exists to make money, like these data centers exist to make money. There's all these special breaks. There's all these special carve-outs. There's all these special things, and these lawmakers will fight for everybody but you.
Nothing special for you, Rob Kendall. Okay, so this Motorsports Fairness and Permanency Act, it's a bill that aims to make permanent tax breaks for motorsports venues like IMS and also the Kokomo Speedway. They introduced it back in 23 originally.
And it's a special carve-out for these people.
Correct.
It's something that the rest of the businesses, other business, this is what we call it, the legalized vote buying business. We have dubbed it this years and years ago, and it is truer now than ever before, in which logically you would say, okay, there are rules for taxes. And if we make the rules as beneficial for everyone, then everyone can benefit and people will want to do business in our country because we have good tax laws that apply to everyone. Oh, no. But that won't get donations put in your pocket, Casey, if you just fix the issue and make it fair and equitable for everyone or every business. No, we've got to have this little carve out for these people
for
over
special
here.
One.
Hey, if we want different rules for depreciation, I'm game and here to hear it. But why one select group of people gets a special benefit and everybody else, no different than the no tax on tips. Everybody knows what that is. That is a legalized vote buying scheme to try to ensure going forward that the state of Nevada votes for Republicans and their whatever it is, 7 electoral votes. How are you saying that some work is better than other work? Is being a bartender better than being a teacher? Is being a bartender better than being a fireman? Hey, if we want to get rid of income taxes altogether, I'm game for it. But there's no reason that one group of people should have their work taxed differently than everybody else.
Yeah, so they do get larger tax breaks for improvements. Now, IMS upgraded in 23. They put new cushioning around the track and also new video boards. And Duke of Spendingburg, Senator Todd Young, he said that there is importance in the motorsports in Indiana because it contributes to our culture and our economy. And he said the bill also supports safety, infrastructure, and fan experience. You need to have a senator propose a bill so that you can have a good time out at the track. And fan experience? What?
Go back to that. What were the 3 things that he said? It promotes what? What were the...
Safety, infrastructure, and fan experience.
As though Penske... No, they're promoting safety because they're not going to let the drivers die at the 500 because, well, that would be a huge liability and people wouldn't race there. As though without a tax break, Penske's like, just let them go. If they burn, that's on them.
Well, it's like without a tax break, you're not going to have a good time at the race. If you're not having a good time, that's on you. That has nothing to do whether it's been mandated through a bill from Todd Young. Okay, so the other question to ask, because this was hinted earlier in the year, Donald Trump going to come to the race?
I would think logistically they would tell him, you are creating such a... I don't see how he can. I don't see how the president of the United States, given the... And I'm saying this as a positive, the relatively liberal way they allow people to enter the track. Now, obviously, there have been enhanced security measures over the past numerous of years, but the fact that you can still bring your own cooler into the track, which is part of the lure and charm of the track, right? It's one of the few places where you can still bring your own cold beverages.
Yeah, I was telling family members that over Mother's Day weekend. They couldn't believe it.
I don't see when you've got potentially 300 and whatever the final number is going to be, 350,000 people in to 350,000 people, even though it's a massive complex, a relatively small area with relatively lax security measures compared to other venues, etc. I don't see how in good and the nightmare it already is to get in the track on race day. Can you imagine if you somehow inserted the president of the United States into that?
Yeah, you'd have to close roads and just the different security levels, unless I don't know. I'm thinking unless he dropped in somehow.
I would hope someone would tell him, while we appreciate your willingness to participate, Mr. President, the logistics of making that happen and the inconvenience that you would impose on 350,000 people, maybe you can just watch the race from home or listen to it on WIBC.
Well, he has been to the Super Bowl, the Daytona 500. He's gone to the NCAA Wrestling Championship, of course, the golf tournaments. But wasn't it just a few years ago they said no political ads on any of the cars because they didn't want to get into that soup?
Yeah, I just would hope somebody would have that conversation with him and say, well, we appreciate your support. Maybe you could send a video message. Maybe you could, maybe you could. And did they rebuff him or did he them? Because wasn't he supposed to drive the pace car? This was before he was president. Didn't something happen where he was supposed to be the pace car driver and then...
They said no, thank you.
I don't remember if it was him or them or whatever. Hey, by the way, I'm a little disappointed in you, Casey. You haven't said a word about my engagement in the program thus far.
Yes, you're doing very well. Thank you. And it's mostly because your golfers aren't teeing off until after 1 o'clock today.
That's right. The PGA Championship is going on right now.
It's not because you care about me or the show or our audience. It's because your golfers aren't teeing off until later.
Right. Everybody, and this was totally coincidence. The 4 guys that I bet on are all 1 o'clock or later, which meant you get a full freight of my engagement. However, tomorrow, because they switched the tee times, you're getting nothing.
Oh, really?
You're getting a Friday effort on a Friday tomorrow.
And won't you be surprised if I call off tomorrow?
We'll just do play-by-play of the tournament.
Oh, okay. It is Kendall Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Jeff Boggs back in for Nigel. Rob Kendall flips out and goes off the rails. 93 WIBC.
Turning 65, new to Medicare, or just moved? If you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, a Humana Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan, a DSNP, may give you the extra benefits you're looking for. A DSNP helps cover things like prescriptions and checkups, but it also helps pay for essentials, too. With a Humana DSNP, you get $225 a month for eligible groceries, rent, utilities, and more. Plus, whatever you don't spend carries over to the next month. You may even get benefits like $0 copays on routine prescriptions, plus routine dental, vision, or hearing coverage. All of this could make a difference for your health and wallet. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a coordinated care HMO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the Indiana Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal. Allowance amounts cannot be combined with other benefit allowances. Limitations and restrictions may apply.
It's May in Indiana, and I'm betting the floors in your home would appreciate a good cleaning. Hi, this is Denny Smith, and there is no better go-to resource for cleaning those floors than Zero-Res. They can handle virtually every surface in your home. Carpets, tile and grout, hardwood, laminate, stone, upholstery, rugs, even your air ducts. Before we get any closer to summer, you can get 3 rooms Zero-Resified for just $129, and you can take $75 off air duct cleaning too. Zero-Res means zero residue, and it's the water they use. They don't need soap or solvents to really clean your surfaces. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, just healthy, fresh surfaces. Zero-Res cleans our floors, and I'll tell you that it is simply amazing, and it works. Don't take my word for it. Just check out 4,900 plus 5-star Google reviews. Call now, mention WIBC, get 3 rooms cleaning starting at just $129 plus $75 off air duct cleaning. 317-388-5141, online at zeroresindy.com.
Attention. If you suffer from consistent pain in your joints caused by arthritis, overuse, or injury, you may be a candidate for a revolutionary therapy that could revitalize damaged tissue. This approach can provide long-lasting relief from pain in your knees, shoulders, hips, and other joints with no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. To find out if you're a viable candidate, you may request a free consultation from QC Kinetics by calling 463-251-1912. Instead of masking the symptoms, it goes to the root of the problem to resolve it at its source. Already used by thousands of satisfied patients nationwide, this joint pain therapy is available right now to the public, but only for qualified candidates. Again, to find out if you're a viable candidate for this therapy, you may request a free consultation by calling QC Kinetics at 463-251-1912. That's 463-251-1912.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Tired of digging through noise to find real news? Go straight to WIBC.com. Local stories, statewide impact, national headlines, info that matters. When news breaks, WIBC.com is already on it. Stay on the know while you're on the go.
There's a petition to eliminate property taxes that's made its way all the way to the Ohio Attorney General. We'll talk about that coming up.
Oh.
That's what they're doing in states around us.
We're doing nothing here, but all the states around us are really, really making a go at it.
Mm-hmm. Did you see, I remember we did the story a while ago that Krispy Kreme was partnering with McDonald's, and they were going to start selling the donuts at McDonald's.
That is sort of an odd pairing, isn't it?
Well, I know a lot of people think that the donut would be a good bun. You could have, something sweet there.
Hey, that vat of grease you're about to eat isn't bad enough for your health. Why don't you put it on a glazed donut bun?
Right. But Krispy Kreme has announced that they're pausing their partnership from selling donuts at McDonald's.
That didn't last very long then, now, did it?
No. The partnership, it's on hold. It involved about 2,400 different McDonald's locations, and they were supposed to roll that out nationwide, and they're reassessing the deployment. I love it. That's the press release. We're reassessing the deployment. Hold the donuts!
I do wonder, in the modern era, where so little is based around person-to-person interaction, even with large chains, how long your local bakery is going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Because, in a weird way, I would tend to think that the local bakery, like the Hillegas in Brownsburg, or in your every community's got one of those, would do better than a Krispy Kreme would, because just how often are people going into places and buying things anymore? And that's front line and center of sort of the place you got to go in and buy things, unless, like, Krispy Kreme was in the Walmart for a while. They had deals where you could get them in the Walmart, but we are so de-incentivizing the importance of in-person interaction now. I do wonder how long the local bakeries are going to be able to make it.
Well, Long's Baker will be around for a while. They got their big weekend coming up, right?
They should do very well.
They'll do all right.
If they don't, they're in big trouble.
But Krispy Kreme stock fell 25% after the announcement, and it has...
Wait. So isn't that backs up what I just said?
Yeah.
Which is, you would think, hey, Krispy Kreme is going to do something with McDonald's, okay? You're not really banking your whole business model. It's a partnership. Partnerships come and they go all the time. If the stability of your industry or your company was high, some sort of partnership may or may not work. Because let's face it, that is a gamble. While McDonald's serves breakfast food, you've never thought of McDonald's as a place to go get a donut.
Right.
That thing not working or not working out as intended, while there may be some ramification, you wouldn't be thinking such a dramatic shift in the stock. But it's clear a lot of people were banking on the price of shares in Krispy Kreme around this partnership working, which leads to exactly what I just said. They're not banking the price around people going into the store and buying the donuts anymore.
Yep. Their stock on a whole dropped 73% over the past year, and their CEO said the company's got to become better to grow. They got to pay down their debt.
Is there anything I just can't peg perfectly? I mean, think about that, Casey. Think about that. I just said that, and then boom, you throw that date out. Even the baking industry, I can look at it and go, here's what's going to happen.
Yep. McDonald's said when they first announced it that the demand exceeded their expectations, but since then it's clearly fallen off. And so has McDonald's as well. They had their worst quarter since 2020. And however, I believe McDonald's is going to try something new because they just announced that they plan to hire 375,000 workers across the country this year. And maybe part of the problem that McDonald's has seen over the past couple years, has been these automated kiosks.
Yeah, they stink.
Yeah, and now they're realizing, people actually, when they go in, want some customer service.
You know me. I don't do technology. I crave the personal transaction. I still go into the bank, pay my bills with check. I do all of the things as in person as I possibly can. I realize I'm one of 7 people left that still do that. But yeah, the kiosk sucks. Here's the problem with the kiosk, okay?
Yeah.
So I've noticed many of my area McDonald's have hired people who have, shall we say, trouble grasping the English language. And part of the kiosk thing is you got to get a thing printed out to you with the receipt. Well, half the time there's no paper in the receipt, or there's some sort of error, or you're not getting the number or whatever. Then you have to try to go communicate with these people who are struggling to grasp the English language. Sometimes it's as simple as, I just need a large cup. And that turns into some sort of sign language fiasco where I'm pointing feverishly, making the drinky signal. And I get why they went to the kiosk, because these people are asking for $15 an hour, which is utterly ridiculous. Sometimes it is just much easier to have an English-speaking person take my order. Here's my credit card. Thank you. I'll go wait over here until you tell me the order's ready, and then you hand it to me. I do it all the time at the Arby's. It's a very pleasurable experience every single time at the Brownsburg Arby's. No kiosk there.
In 2023, McDonald's generated over $53 billion, and by 2027, they want to have 50,000 restaurants. So they're increasing their footprint. They're going to build 900 new restaurants over the next 2 years. So that could be part of the reason why they plan on hiring 375,000 people.
I knew a guy who owned several McDonald's, like a local franchisee who owned several McDonald's in the central Indiana area. The guy had basically a money printing factory. But they told me, they said, the value in McDonald's is not in the store itself. The value is in the real estate.
Yeah, in the land.
You look at McDonald's, it's almost always in some sort of premium, high traffic area. And that is the business plan with McDonald's, is if you can make just enough off these stores to be able to pay your bills and pay down whatever debt you've got, the real estate appreciates so much over time that's where the actual money is for many of these McDonald's, is in the real estate, not in the business itself.
Now, Burger King making news as well. They plan to remodel about 400 locations this year. It's part of their plan to reclaim the flame.
They're going to what?
They're going to reclaim the flame.
Oh.
Yeah. They're going to complete a bunch of remodels.
Now, I do
2,000 of them by 2028.
I do every so often switch it up and go to the Brownsburg Burger King, because if I've just had enough of the Arby's, because I have the Burger King coupons too. Never seems like there's anybody in the Burger King. The customer base seems very small at the local Burger King.
Now, here's something different that Burger King's doing. Over 85% of their locations, once they complete all their remodels, they're going to feature the new Sizzle modern design, which is going to focus on their digital ordering. They're going to the kiosk.
Oh, Kevin said we have to go to a break. Can we talk about the Supreme Court and the birthright citizenship stuff next?
Yeah, it is. Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Comcast Business is celebrating Small Business Month by giving you a $1,000 small business bonus when you switch to a qualifying gig speed package from the company with over 99.99% network reliability. Just imagine the thousands of possibilities of a $1,000 prepaid card. Like possibility number 1, company merch for staff. Styling. Or possibility number 24, the latest software. Upgrade. Or possibility number 192, new equipment powered by gig speeds. Or possibility number 555, a 3D printer. Rapid prototyping, anyone? Switch to Comcast Business for over 99.99% network reliability, advanced cybersecurity, and now get started with a $1,000 small business bonus. Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
In 6/22/25, new customers only with 2-year agreement. Other restrictions apply.
You probably have a dream retirement in mind, but do you know how to get there? The difference between dreaming and living your ideal retirement comes down to having the right plan. And that's where Howard Bailey Financial can help. At Howard Bailey Financial, we've created a free retirement toolkit to help you bridge the gap between where you are now and where you want to be. Text DREAM to 888-262-1104 to download your free retirement toolkit that includes a retirement checklist, Social Security decisions guide, estate planning guide, and more. We want your dream retirement to be your reality. And it starts by texting DREAM to 888-262-1104. Let us help you take the next step toward the retirement of your dreams. Howard Bailey Securities, LLC is an independent financial services firm and uses a variety of different investment strategies. Please see disclosures at howardbailey.com.
Spring is here, and Damon's is full speed ahead with endless plant production of perennials, annuals, hanging baskets, roses, and planters. Trucks are arriving with fresh trees and shrubs. Damon's friendly staff is ready to assist you and get you the help you need. So for any of your gardening needs, experience Damon's South on Emerson Avenue and Damon's West on Rockville Road.
Damon's Lawn and Garden, Indiana's most complete garden centers.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
If this is the year to build your custom dream home, Joyner Homes is ready to help make your dream come true. They offer the flexibility to build on your own lot, allowing you to build a home in the place you've always envisioned. A dedicated in-house team of experts will guide you through every step, offering unmatched personalization and flexibility. Joyner Homes provides clear and upfront pricing and floor plans to inspire you. There's no time like the present to get in touch with Joyner Homes to talk about your vision and learn more about their building process. Visit JoynerHomes.com.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, what you can expect from the latest weather, what police know so far about a shooting that happened Wednesday night in Indianapolis, and why a man from Fishers is facing a long prison sentence. Those stories and more after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 10 o'clock.
A big Trump case at the Supreme Court. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. It's about to start right now, considering birthright citizenship, which is in the Constitution, but President Trump issued an order not allowing it for kids born here to parents in the U.S. illegally. On Truth Social, the president wrote it's a scam, and they laugh at us for being suckers. That order's been blocked by several judges, and that's what today's hearing's about.
That broader question of whether these district court judges, there's 600 to 700 of them at any one time, can actually have the power to shut down a policy nationwide.
Fox's Shannon Bream outside the court says the Trump administration will tell the justices
that sharp rising universal injunction stops the executive branch for performing its constitutional functions before any courts fully examine the merits of those actions.
Now, the other side argues
the universal injunction in this case preserves the uniformity of United States citizenship, an area in which nationwide consistency is vitally important.
President Trump is in the United Arab Emirates, getting another big welcome like in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, where before he left, the president held a rally with U.S. troops.
My trip is 4.5 days, but this is the one I was so looking forward because I'm with the people that I really love and respect.
The commander-in-chief got a big cheer when he told the troops at Al Udeid Air Base he plans to give them all pay raises. President Trump also said in Qatar that he hopes the U.S. is close to a nuclear deal with Iran, preferring that over the other way to prevent Iran from building nuclear weapons, military action.
The violence like people haven't seen before, and I hope we're not going to have to do this.
President Trump also says there will not be a ceasefire in Ukraine until he and Russian leader Vladimir Putin meet. The president saying because he did not go to Turkey today to hold talks with Ukraine's president, Putin did not go. Despite worry about Trump tariffs spiking inflation, wholesale prices dropped 0.5% last month from March. The annual inflation rate also declined to 2.4%. And we learned today that U.S. retail sales rose slightly last month at 0.1%. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Chances of severe weather, partly cloudy and 75 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:02. There might be some bad weather in Indiana later today, but Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says he's keeping his eye on tomorrow as well.
Friday looks to have a more widespread threat. We'll call it certainly numerous strong to severe storms with the potential for widespread storms, especially across the southern counties.
He says you can expect warm temperatures, high humidity, and more. A woman was shot and killed Wednesday night outside an event center on the east side of Indianapolis. IMPD says they got a call about the shooting around 9:30 on Massachusetts Avenue. She was pronounced dead at the scene with a gunshot wound. They believe a commotion at a nearby parking lot happened before the shooting. Now they're looking for suspects and talking to witnesses. A man from Fishers is facing a lot of years in prison after he pled guilty to possessing drugs. drugs. Jake McDaniel reports.
Court documents say Torian Young gave away a pound of meth during 2 separate moments in May 2 years ago. As authorities were looking into this case, they say they spotted Young with a gun a month later, and so they seized it, as well as meth and fentanyl, along with body armor that was found in his home. Jake McDaniel, 93, WIBC Mobile News.
A Hoosier company is getting some praise from Health and Human Services Secretary RFK Jr., who says Eli Lilly may help defeat China with pharmaceutical research by opening new facilities on U.S. soil.
I think they've been the most aggressive of any of the pharmaceutical companies about answering President Trump's summons to onshore production.
Kennedy acknowledged the 9 new Lilly facilities on which building has already started as a big help in putting the U.S. at the front of the research. Indiana Governor Mike Braun has directed flags to be lowered to half staff for Peace Officers Memorial Day. The day honors law enforcement officers killed or disabled in the line of duty. I'm John Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 10:04, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
This hour on WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, designers of fine custom jewelry.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
All right, so there is a very, very, very important case in front of the Supreme Court today, and we don't do a lot of legal stuff, to steal a phrase from Hammer and Nigel, but I do think this is worth discussing because it's not just the cases, plural in this case, but the intrigue about exactly what the court may even consider and what they may rule on, and how that ruling may tell you how they're going to rule in the future. Did that make any sense, what I just said?
Well, it did. So the Supreme Court, they're hearing arguments on the birthright citizenship policy, and the case focuses on whether district court judges have the power to issue nationwide injunctions.
So there's really two things at play here. One is there is the Trump's ban of birthright citizenship, which was struck down by multiple district court judges across the country. And then the Trump administration asked for an expedited appeal to the Supreme Court. They said, look, we got to know what we're going to do with this. And now there are really two questions that are at play. They're both very important. One is the idea of birthright citizenship itself. And it is utterly ridiculous to think that when the idea of birthright citizenship was implemented, everybody knows it was implemented to protect slaves, to protect the rights and dignity of people who were enslaved people or had been enslaved people. The people at the time had no vision or thought whatsoever to the idea there was going to be a literal invasion of this country from people from primarily South American countries. They're going to be flooding into tens of millions across the border, that the people who were not citizens were going to be coming here, overrunning this country, giving birth to children, and then those people would be legal citizens. There is no documentation whatsoever when you go back and look at the original intent, which is always so important, the original intent of birthright citizenship, that was factored into the equation, nor would anyone with common frickin' sense, Casey, says that if you are not a citizen of this country, that if you are not here legally, that you should be able to have children in the country and they become citizens. No person whatsoever was processing or thinking about that when they considered birthright citizenship. So there's that argument. But the primary argument in front of them today is whether, and this is going to be very important, not just for the birthright citizenship issue, but other issues going forward, is whether one district court judge can issue a ruling in, say, Washington State, and it applies for the rest of the country.
Right, universal injunctions.
Right. So they're going to decide on that, and how they decide on this will probably lead you to understand at least their willingness to hear the actual birthright citizenship argument itself. Because if they say one judge in Washington or Maryland can rule for the entire state or the country, that's going to have huge ramifications on a bunch of issues. But if they're saying that, then they're almost certainly going to say birthright citizenship is universal and without debate or discussion if they're agreeing with these judges on this issue. So there's a bunch of things at play. It's super important. It's one of these rare times where you almost can't even read the tea leaves because you don't even know what the judges are actually willing to consider today. We'll see. I mean, look, if you look at like when they overturned Roe versus Wade was not in front of the judges. It was a Mississippi abortion case, a Mississippi abortion ban, extending the ban to 15 weeks. And because that case became in front of them, Alito and the other what made up 5 said, we're willing to open up Roe versus Wade based on it being germane to the case that we're hearing here, and let's just address the whole issue. So there's a whole bunch of different things they could do. They could do a very small thing. They could do something very big. The Supreme Court works at their own time, on their own rules, and this is going to be very interesting to see what happens today.
It seems like Thomas is not on board with it. He's been very critical of the injunctions.
Well, yeah, I think you're going to definitely see I would be very surprised if Thomas, Alito, and Gorsuch were to be on board with nationwide bans. Now, it's always then you get the other 3 in the middle, Roberts. I would actually be surprised if Kavanaugh were on board with a nationwide ban. The 2, though, that you got to flip a coin on because you don't know are Coney Barrett and Roberts. So we'll see.
Yeah, it could potentially put a stop to rogue judges, though.
Well,
making decisions for the entire country.
Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, so we'll keep an eye on that. And I like I said, we don't do a lot of legal stuff here, but we'll save that for Hammer and Nigel. But we'll see what happens.
Okay, so I mentioned this previously. Ohio has a petition right now to eliminate property taxes completely, and it has been submitted to their Ohio Attorney General.
Wait. They're going to get done, not just, hey, we're going to give you $300 off your bill and then raise your income taxes.
Yep. It was led by this group called Ohio Citizens for Property Tax Reform, and they cite that there's been rising property taxes, and they're making it difficult for people to stay in their homes that they've paid for over years. That sounds
familiar, right?
Very, very familiar. But guess who has been very critical of this petition?
Who's that?
Superintendents of the schools.
Oh, you don't say. Okay, so this is related to getting Ohio has ballot amendments.
Correct. They want to get the proposal on the ballot, and they need 413,000 signatures. They have to come from at least 44 of their 88 counties.
Yes, and so this is part of them presenting that to get this on the ballot,
right,
to eliminate property taxes.
Yeah. The organizers of the petition have suggested some alternatives, like increased sales or income taxes to help replace the property tax revenue.
Well, and this is the problem with, like, when that ass clown from Mooresville came to the hearing and the superintendent said, I'm going to shut the lights out if you do property tax reform. You can't have a serious conversation. This is the problem in the state. We cannot have a serious conversation about property taxes because these local government people just immediately go to the human shield element, which is it's the kids if you're the schools, it's the cops if you're the mayors. You can't have, and it's what's so darn frustrating, is that you cannot have a serious conversation because anytime you propose anything that would help people, you get the kids or cops or firemen as human shields from these very gross elected and appointed people. And we need to have a serious conversation about what is the best, fairest way, fairest in terms of fair for everyone, not where the school gets the most amount of money, or not where the school isn't actually taken care of to provide service to the community. We need to have an actual conversation about how people are protected and able to own the thing that they bought, yet also ensure that there are policemen on the street and firemen in the firehouses and the public schools stay open. But we can't have that here, Casey, and I blame the lawmakers. I blame the lawmakers that when that guy in Mooresville got up and with a straight face lied out of his backside and said, I'm going to shut the lights out in the school system, not one of those lawmakers on that Ways and Means Committee
challenged him.
and said, "You are disgusting, sir. You walk me through financially how the lights go out in Mooresville," and then start talking about their football field or all the other nice things that they have there and say, "So you have enough money for that,
right?
But not enough money to keep your lights on." I blame the lawmakers who never challenge these people, never hold them accountable, and let them get away with it, because I'd like to have an honest conversation about that. I'd like to talk about what a state sales tax on services looks like, but you can't do it because you don't have honest brokers coming to the table wanting to participate.
Another thing that they're working on in Ohio, Kyle Cutts, this is a guy who's in charge of this steering committee for this petition. He's mentioning the potential to eliminate tax abatements as well, because he says these are unfair. They shift the financial burden onto regular taxpayers.
Well, one of the things that came out of the property tax discussion this year, and Capital Chronicle and others did a very good job reporting on this, is the undue burden that is placed on single-family homeowners in our state compared to businesses.
Right.
Because we're always told, oh, this business is going to come here and they're going to invest blah, 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 and it's going to create X amount of jobs. Well, first of all, the jobs mean nothing to the local school system or the community, because the jobs go to the income tax goes to, now there is a local income tax based on where you live, not where you work, where you live. So if the person lived in the town or the county in which they work, then theoretically some of that. But the jobs mean nothing to the community. The jobs, by and large, mean absolutely nothing in terms of a revenue situation. Now, with this new local income tax, again, on residents that they can hike as part of the property tax bill, maybe. But when they do this amount of this building, you've got to factor in any sort of building of any size, as long as it qualifies, is going to get a 10-year abatement. So that means it's going to take 10 years for that entity to pay its full freight. Also, commercial buildings have not seen the spike that residential buildings have seen, so they have remained relatively flat in terms of value. If you look at the value of a commercial building from 5 years ago or 10 years ago,
they're paying the same rate.
It's basically the same.
Yeah.
And they've had the abatement, and this is where we're at. And this is what we talked about last hour with Todd Young and the IMS stuff. It's just one corporate giveaway after another, and they're not cutting government. Local government, not cutting. State government, not cutting. Federal government, certainly not cutting. So when somebody else pays less or doesn't pay what what you would think they would be paying, somebody else has to pick up the tab.
Yeah, absolutely. But is it nice or comforting to know that Floridians and Ohioans are having the same conversations that us Hoosiers are having about property taxes?
They're doing something about it.
Right.
Here's what's interesting about the business. See, I've never been against businesses having property tax because they're a for-profit entity. Now, if you want to get in a world where nobody pays property tax and it all moves to service tax or whatever, okay. But I've never been against businesses paying property tax because you don't live in that business. When you build a business, when you build a building for a business, you factor in the cost of that thing in order to do the business. We're not talking about life and death.
Right. You're not doing that when you're building a home.
And so if you were to say, well, we're going to get rid of property taxes, including on commercial entities, if you're willing to pay more to subsidize, because then what does the business pay? They're basically out of the tax game. If you want to let them out of the tax game, well, then okay. But the business, by and large, especially a warehouse or whatever, not using services that would be taxed, which is what they've talked about as an alternative tax to property taxes. They're not paying that. So again, you would be subsidizing the business. And if you want to be in that game, then fine. But if you actually want to have an equitable way of taxation where everybody's paying their quote unquote fair share, leaving businesses in the property tax game, especially in the abatement incentive world we're in, that ain't no punishment on them.
Yeah. Nikki Kelly is going to join us next from Indiana Capital Chronicle. It's 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
When I first started in radio, crews were doing striping. I always said stripping because I didn't read very well.
Fat, drunk, and stupid is no way to go through life, sir.
Governor Braun, can we just get him a Sagamore of the Wabash? Can we just make that happen?
I've got two. I don't need another.
Highest honors, Matt Baer. Get this completed.
I got one from Governor Holcomb, got another from Governor Daniels.
And that's no part of that is true.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling will pay you cash for your scrap metal. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling may seem familiar to you, and that's because they are. They're trusted local family-owned businesses going back 3 generations in Indy with their familiar orange logo and a name you know. But you may not know they'll pay you cash for your scrap metal. Cash is king. Your scrap aluminum, steel, copper, and brass will get you cash from Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Just drop it off or schedule a pickup, and you'll put cash in your pocket. Ray's Demolition and Farnsworth Metal Recycling. Local names you can trust with 2 locations.
Farnsworth Metal Recycling, a familiar face in Indy.
Get cash for your scrap. Get started at farnsworthmetals.com.
Hi, Jeff Roush for Tom Roush Lincoln. Right now, get Lincoln's employee pricing on most all new Lincolns at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers. Get up to $20,000 off select 2024 Navigators, up to $8,000 off select 2024 Nautilus, or up to $7,000 off select 2024 Corsair at Tom Roush Lincoln in Fishers.
Navigator MSRP 105,575, Nautilus MSRP 6195, Corsair MSRP 47,820. Offers good through May 31st, 2025. Navigators excluded from employee pricing. Subject to credit approval. See dealer for complete offer details.
Here's a harsh fact. 40% of women and nearly 20% of men suffer from varicose or spider veins. Left untreated, these veins can cause tired, heavy legs, swelling, burning, cramping, aching, even restless leg syndrome. In some cases, it can lead to serious health risks like blood clots. USA Vein Clinics offers minimally invasive treatments that take as little as 15 minutes, covered by most insurances. Call 317-516-6861 and schedule your appointment today. Don't wait. 317-516-6861 for free information today. Imagine walking, exercising, and sleeping peacefully again. Varicose and spider veins won't go away on their own. USA Vein Clinics can help. Call 317-516-6861 for fast, easy, affordable solutions. USA Vein Clinic's treatments are covered by most insurance plans. Don't put this off any longer. Call 317-516-6861.
Big Joe here for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical.
Summer heat is coming. Will your air conditioner be ready? Don't risk an expensive breakdown. A quick tune-up from B&W catches problems early and keeps your family cool and comfortable. Join thousands of Hoosiers who trust B&W. Call 317-214-0108 or go to bplusw.com today.
B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard dealer since 1961.
This is the epic story that takes a whole month to tell. This is May. The legendary intense action of the month of May continues as PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying and the thrilling drama of the fight for the pole position. The most epic month continues with Indy's most epic party, Big White Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge. This is epic. This is legendary. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, see their large selection of grills, Weber, Traeger, and Napoleon, along with the Big Green Egg.
Freddie, get ready. Rock steady when Johnny strikes up the band. You'll be rocking in
Casey, it's that time.
It is. It's time to talk with Nikki Kelly from Indiana Capital Chronicle.
One of the best in the business. Nobody covers Indiana politics and government like the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Nikki joins us every Thursday to get us up to date on what's been going on. Nikki Kelly, hello.
Good morning.
All right, so the big news yesterday, you guys have covered this story very closely, was that the governor came out and said he was going to join the parole board in the recommendation to continue on with the execution of convicted police officer murderer Benjamin Ritchie. No surprise here. Was there ever any doubt this was going to sort of be the end result?
I think after Monday's hearing, I think the testimony in support of moving forward was so strong that would have been hard to overcome. And then it was a unanimous recommendation to deny clemency. Technically, I think Governor Braun knew about it the day before, but his ruling or finding came only a few hours after they had made it public. So it was a pretty quick and easy decision for him, it looks like.
Obviously, it's been many years. We had one very recently, but before that, it had been many years since there had been an execution. Kind of let our audience know, how much weight does the parole board's recommendation actually play with the governor?
I mean, I think it depends on the governor and the case. We definitely have had cases in the past. For instance, the last clemency that was granted was by then Governor Mitch Daniels, and the board had recommended against clemency, and Daniels granted it the day before the execution. So definitely seen it both ways.
You guys, being the Indiana Capital Chronicle, have partnered up with multiple other agencies with a lawsuit, which we support you guys on in order to be able to witness the executions, provide transparency to that process. This execution is scheduled for May the 20th. Do you guys have any idea if you're going to get any sort of ruling on this before this execution, or will this be in the future?
That's our hope. We have a hearing scheduled on Friday for a preliminary injunction. So we'll see if what comes out of that. Obviously, it's times of the
Nikki Kelly's our guest from the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Nikki, another story you guys really delved into is this sale of land related to the LEAP District by the Indiana Economic Development Commission. Casey and I touched on this yesterday. It's being sold at a loss. What else do we know?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what we know. We heard about it through some neighbors who saw the signs go up, and obviously they're very confused about why they're selling off the land. IEDC told us, this is just a few properties. This is no indication that we're going to start, selling off large swaths. But obviously it's for less than the state paid, and, begs the question given, how, I guess, stagnant maybe is the word. We've only had Lilly, and yes, their investment is large. No one's saying it isn't, but that's the only tenant we've had, and we're going on 3 or 4 years now of, creating this entity and trying to get tenants there. So I would definitely say momentum is not strong right now.
You guys at the Capital Chronicle have done some of the best reporting, maybe the best reporting in the entire state on IEDC and LEAP. When you call for comments or do investigations, do you get the sense from the folks running IEDC that do they see any problem with the lack of transparency? Because that is a major issue for many people, is the complete lack of transparency. Do they share that view?
I mean, some of the people are new. So we've had an administration change. So some of it is different. I think there definitely is a little more skepticism by the new administration on IEDC and things like that. And I have seen that IEDC has become more transparent in the last, year probably, after taking so much flack. They always respond to us, and we appreciate that. And, I think they are improving. Now, in Boone County, would that ever be enough improvement for residents? Probably not, but I do want to give them that credit.
Well, and I think for a lot of people, are we ever going to know exactly what the incentives to Eli Lilly is? Because the estimates are all over the map. I've seen it as everything from a couple $100 million to over $1 billion. Do you think, like in this audit, you guys are going to finally be able to put the pieces together and find out exactly how much in economic incentives the taxpayers put forth to that Eli Lilly development?
The incentives are public as soon as they sign the agreements. I think part of the reason you're seeing different numbers is Eli Lilly has added multiple different times. So it was originally package A, and then they said, oh, well, we're going to expand this, and then there's package B. And so it has sort of grown over time as Eli Lilly has added investment and additional capital expenditures there. So that's why the numbers look different. But yeah, I mean, that incentive package is public record once the deals are finalized.
Do you have an idea what the final number is then? So it's like that 1.7 billion number that I've seen thrown out. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It's a total $18 billion investment, so that doesn't seem out of range. And that's everything. That's, property tax abatements, that's tax credits they can get. And some of these tax credits, they don't get up front. They have to, submit data and training information, and then they can get it after. So those aren't all automatic, but yeah, they're in the package.
Nikki Kelly from the Anita Capital Chronicle, our guest. One other story you guys hit on yesterday, which I think is a big deal. So Braun goes to some sort of event in Indianapolis and basically says, and it sort of ties into LEAP, which is we don't have enough power. And he starts talking about all the power that these data centers are using. I think they got a real issue here because the state seems all in on attracting these data centers, but they do not have the ability with the amount of juice those things take to power all the ones certainly that are being proposed.
Yeah. The data centers are really weird because it is a lot of, quote, capital investment, but it doesn't create jobs really. And so if that's your goal, and under the Holcomb administration, they really focused on that number, like, they're investing $500 billion, whatever, for the capital investment. And Braun's administration has said, we want to focus less on that and more on jobs and pay. So it'll be interesting to see, how many of these data centers really come to fruition. And that's even before discussing the huge electricity problem. But, and then the third problem of people don't really want it next to them. So
meet your new neighbors or lack thereof. It's a giant building with no one in it.
Yeah, the St. Joe County County Council just voted unanimously to put one in Granger. I mean, that was like right down the road from where I used to live, and I'm really surprised. They purchased 40 acres of farmland for a data center. Is that the typical size that they're going to need for these data centers?
Yeah, I think it depends how big it is and who's running it. But the fascinating part is, part of the upshot or offshoot of the property tax discussion that we had during session is Speaker Houston and others saying, look, locals are going to have to start allowing some of these things in to grow their tax base. Because if you don't grow your tax base in to grow their base, we're not going to let you, we're going to curb how much you can raise your property taxes. So I think that's also a pressure on locals to, if you don't grow your assessed value, then, you're struggling to survive as a community.
Yeah, I think the compromise here, Casey, would be we should put a giant data center right next to Todd Houston's house.
You think he'd like that?
I think that'd be very fair. She's one of the best in the business. Find her over at the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Nikki Kelly, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling, BOOHER, BooherRemodeling.com. They can take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in Central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with the free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. BOOHER, BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He says they're keeping track of a lot. Mostly sunny and 76 in the Circle City. Today's high 87. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 10:32. One of the things to worry about with the Indiana weather, both today and tomorrow, is hail.
Do some superficial damage to homes and cars and windshields.
Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says tomorrow could be the day where the weather gets the most intense, with heavy rain and tornadoes possible. President Trump says the U.S. is very close to reaching a nuclear deal with Iran. Trump said the country has sort of agreed to the terms. The president saying we're not going to be making any nuclear dust in Iran. The House of Representatives continues to work on a budget bill that includes many of the president's campaign promises. He announced during a speech to the troops at an Air Force base in Qatar today that he included something in his budget proposal for them.
My 2026 budget includes across the board. Maybe you don't want it. Look, for the good of the country, you don't have to take it. Pay raises for each and every one of you, substantial pay raises. But you don't have to take it.
Democrats argued the bill's tax cuts primarily benefit wealthy Americans and corporations. And a bunch of Kyles are expected to descend on the city of Kyle, Texas this weekend, but they won't be doing what they have in years past. Normally, they go there to break the Guinness World Record for the largest gathering of people with the same first name. The gathering of the Kyles, as it's known, is still set to take place Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Lake Kyle Park, but no attempt at setting the record will be made. Leaders say they'll give it another go sometime in the future. I'm John Herrick on The Level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Turning 65, new to Medicare, or just moved? If you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, a Humana Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan, a D-SNP, may give you the extra benefits you're looking for. A D-SNP helps cover things like prescriptions and checkups, but it also helps pay for essentials, too. With a Humana D-SNP, you get $225 a month for eligible groceries, rent, utilities, and more. Plus, whatever you don't spend carries over to the next month. You may even get benefits like $0 copays on routine prescriptions, plus routine dental, vision, or hearing coverage. All of this could make a difference for your health and wallet. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a coordinated care HMO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the Indiana Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal. Allowance amounts cannot be combined with other benefit allowances. Limitations and restrictions may apply.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Start her engine by racing into Pierce Jewelers in Carmel for that perfect diamond engagement ring that will put you in the winner's circle. Shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our Rhino Shield has been on for 8 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
So, Case, I was just perusing through Webster's dictionary the other day.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I wonder if
looking for new words.
Well, just, there are not many of the handheld dictionaries actually left anymore.
No.
You've got one of those.
You've got one at your fingertips, too, with your phone.
That's right. But I was perusing through an actual handheld Webster's dictionary, and I thought to myself, I wonder if I look up disingenuous a-holes in Webster's dictionary, who will be there, and it turns out it's the picture that was there and the example that they gave. You know how they'll give the definition and then see whatever was actually the Republican-led U.S. House of Representatives.
Oh, all of them in one big picture.
Well, they may have had a couple exemptions, but boy, howdy, this. So they're ramming or trying to ram through this reconciliation bill in which they are doing everything that's wrong with government, where they're trying to combine immigration enforcement with tax cuts, with child tax credits, with state and local tax credits. They are doing the thing. See, this is the Republicans always complain about stuff, and then they get in there and then they do the same thing.
Right.
And you are seeing this play out in real time, in which they're doing this little account. So they're very concerned. They know what they're doing in the sense of they're adding trillions of dollars to the nation's debt. And because the total is so staggering in terms of unpaid for freebies that they're giving away to the public, they are attempting now to only let these benefits run through 2028 so that they can come back and go, see, it's only adding $4 trillion to the debt. When the reality is it's only adding $4 trillion because it's a 2-year plan, when if you did it as a 10-year plan, it would be $20 trillion or likely more than that.
Seems smaller.
And they're essentially lying, and not essentially, they are deceiving the American people on the actual cost of this bill, because if it's such a great plan and such a great idea, you would pass it for 10 years and put it into existence and let it be there. And it is creating the exact sort of uncertainty that rocks nations' economies. The U.S. economy is capable of dealing with good news. They're capable of dealing with bad news. As we've seen for the past several months, what they don't deal well with is uncertainty. And by doing this in the manner in which they are doing, solely so they don't have to face the reality of the money they're adding to our nation's deficit, nation's debt and annual deficit, they are shortening this to 2 years to try to fool you, and these people should all be ashamed of themselves if they had any shame.
Well, there's going to be some elections coming up, right?
But the overwhelming majority of them know there's going to be no punishment for this.
Right. So this is the one that Trump is calling one big, beautiful bill, right? And they've got 3 committees: Ways and Means, Energy and Commerce, and also Ag. And they voted this week to move portions of it forward, just different sections, one at a time, correct? Like Ways and Means voted on it, and they voted 26-19 to advance its portion. This after they spent 18 hours with their markup session. So yesterday we were talking about Dingell, who fell asleep, and then I think there was video of Moore, who also fell asleep. It's because they were pulling all-nighters the night before arguing over all of this stuff.
So there are what I think they can lose. What they can lose, is it 3? I think they can lose 3 because of vacancies. It's 220 to 213. There are 2 deceased Democrats who have not been replaced as of yet. So I think they can lose 3 Republicans and still pass this bill through. Okay. Now, the issue they've got, and the problem is when you do this, they're trying to make too many promises to too many people, and you're going to offend someone. And the major thing they've done is this state and local tax thing. It's called SALT. So before 2017, you were able to write off, if you were in a high tax state, you were able to essentially write off your local taxation on your federal taxes. So you were subsidizing some guy who lives in New York or California or Illinois. Now, we here in Indiana are quickly catching those people, but you were subsidizing the fact that they have big bloated governments that can't pay their bills without raising people's taxes. And the Republicans rightfully came in and said, we're not doing that anymore. And they got rid of the SALT cap, where they chopped it down to like $10,000. But
right. They proposed it at 30.
And now they proposed at 30 in this bill. The problem is the big government state reps, because what happened in 2017 is a bunch of these big government state reps voted for this because they thought Trump was the golden goose, and as long as they had Trump, they would be fine. Well, the people in that state got outraged because it cost them money, because they were getting to write this off on their taxes, and they said, we don't actually care about the country, we just care about our own pocketbook, and they voted these people out. So the U.S. reps that are left in these big tax states said, We ain't doing this again, and we want the SALT book, and they voted these people out. We're left in these big towns, and we to basically where it was before. They have raised 10. It's nowhere close to what these people want, and so they said, we're not voting for this. Then you got I call them the huffers and puffers, people like Chip Roy and Victoria Spartz, and the people who always flap their gums but never actually do stand the line, who are saying, I don't know if Spartz said she's not voting for it, but Chip Roy said he's not voting for it. Some of these Freedom Caucus people. So they can only lose 3, and if everybody were true to themselves and the things they've said, there's no way they would be able to only lose 3 people because they can't possibly make everybody happy. But I think Johnson, the Speaker of the House, knows the Freedom Caucus people always bark, they never bite.
Right.
And so we'll just give these SALT people or these big government people all the SALT deductions, and we'll just laugh at the Freedom Caucus people as they make asses out of themselves again like they usually do.
Yeah, Mike Johnson, he's the one mediating all of it, and he said that he expects a compromise. You also have the Energy and Commerce Committees, and they voted 30-24 this after 25 hours of debate, and they were tasked with cutting $880 billion.
You got to do cutting in air quotes, because I guarantee whatever number they tell you, they ain't going to find, because it never balances out. And this is another part of this. There's no structural changes to the things that are actually driving the majority of our nation's debt, which is money that we are obligated to give to people based on agreements we have made. I am talking Medicare and Social Security, and the Medicaid reforms that they put in there to try to find a bunch of this money don't structurally change Medicaid, which is, if you're an able-bodied person, you should be going to work and finding a job that provides you some sort of health benefit, and your money should be going towards that. Then if you can't do that, the states should have some obligation with the original intent of the Healthy Indiana plan, a very small, narrowed, not this behemoth that's become now, but some targeted thing to help. The federal government should have no role in this whatsoever. Absolutely none.
One of the things that they proposed was to have more frequent eligibility checks, and I don't know what they wanted it to go to. I believe it's 3 years now. So I don't know if they were shortening it.
Yeah.
They were trying to shorten it to.
Well, and this is what people said. They said, you can't even do the ones now properly. I think they wanted to go to 6 months.
Okay.
And it's like, so you're only going to check if someone's eligible every 6 months, and who's going to do that? You can't even do it well right now, which is why there's all the waste. Fraud. You're going to hire a bunch of people? That's going to cost money.
Sure.
This is everything wrong with government. This should have been a very simplistic thing. Okay, the 2017 tax cuts we believe are good for the economy. Check. Spending is out of control. Check. The 2017 tax cuts are going to cost X amount to the Treasury. We're going to cut X amount from the expenditures, and we're going to pass this bill. Boom. Then we're going to take the other side of this, which is immigration. We're going to put that up for a vote. We'll vote on that, and then we're done. But no, as usual, everybody gets their hand in the till.
Right.
All these special interests, all these lobbyists, all these donors, and now they make it this some monstrosity in which you're trying to pair immigration enforcement with tax cuts. And it's impossible for people to read or understand or comprehend what's going on. And the Republicans are doing the exact same thing they spent several years, decades, whatever, ripping on the Democrats for doing.
All right, we've got Hammer who's going to join us next. It is 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Jeff Boggs back in for Nigel. Rob Kendall flips out and goes off the rails. 93 WIBC.
I'm a proud owner of B Window.
I'm a proud B-Window owner.
I'm a proud B-Window owner.
When you work with a local, employee-owned home improvement company like B-Window, quality comes first because your home improvements are a reflection of our business. And for a limited time, we're extending our employee discount to you, up to 55% off all products and services, plus 18 months, no interest, no payments. Trust local, trust employee-owned, trust your home to be.
Trust me.
You know, I'm so impressed by Universal Windows Direct's home improvement season sale that I actually practice reading this spot in my free time at my house. In fact, I did an impromptu yesterday in my backyard with my daughter. My dad was thoroughly impressed that I could do it from memory. And that's because, what are you laughing at, Casey? You know I'm neurotic enough to have actually done that. Listen to this sale, though. Universal Windows Direct right now. 50% off your windows. That's right, half off. Then on top of that, no interest, no payments for 12 months. And last, but certainly not least, a free entry door with your window purchase. So let's review. 50% off, half off your windows, no interest, no payments for 12 months, and a free entry door with your window purchase. Now that you've heard me do it, whether it's on these radio airwaves or in my backyard without any script in front of me, call Universal Windows Direct today. Some restrictions may apply, but most importantly, schedule your free in-home estimate. 317-659-7574. 317-659-7574. UniversalWindowsDirect.com. UniversalWindowsDirect.com. Tell them Rob sent you.
Hammer and Nigel here for Bill Demery. Look, one day the stock market's up, the next day it's down. If you're in your 20s or 30s, it's not a big deal. But the older you get, it creates uncertainty in retirement. But imagine when you've invested $200,000 or more and received a 20% upfront bonus on your deposit, plus a return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, and your money backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more about it, call our guy, Bill Demery, your retirement guy, 317-648-5120. Get an upfront 20% bonus on your deposit, a return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, and your money backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. We trust Bill Demery, and you can too. 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120.
Do you have an idea for a book, fiction, nonfiction, or a children's book? We can help you put it together and bring it to market at Dorrance Publishing. We have thousands of testimonials from people just like you that we've helped get their books sold in stores and online. We've even got a service called The Writer's Coach. It's perfect for people that have a book idea in their head and they just need someone to help them put it on paper. Dorrance Book Publishing has been helping people just like you who have a book idea, written or not, for over 100 years. Imagine being counted among the most famous authors in the world with your very own book. Call right now and let us help you turn a book idea into reality. It's easier than you think. You just need a little help. Call us now.
800-879-4098. 800-879-4098. 800-879-4098. That's 800-879-4098.
Millions of illegal aliens crossed our southern border under Biden administration policies. But now, things are changing. This is your Congressman, Jefferson Shreve. I'm committed to securing our borders and to protecting our Hoosier communities. I'm delivering for you. Because of Republican leadership, illegal border crossings are at an all-time low. I'm leading the charge to complete the southern border wall and deport illegal aliens. I'm fighting for Indiana and working for you in Congress.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
It's now open. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg, right in front of Premier Arms on Green Street. You got to see the selection. Newly expanded, the gold, the diamonds, the silver, the gemstones, the local artists, and of course, that watch collection. Guys, you got to trust me on this one right here. PA Jewelers at the Farmhouse in Brownsburg, 317-456-4010. That's 456-4010. Or find them online at pajewelers.jewelry. That's pajewelers.jewelry.
Stop putting up with lousy well water. You just can't find anybody better than the pros at C&J. Great systems, great people too. C&J at 317-852-WELL.
The WIBC mashup is everything you love, from fiery debates to laugh out loud takes, all in one podcast. No weak sauce, just the best of the day each weekday. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts.
There he is from the #1 rated Hammer and Nigel show, Jason Hammer. Hello.
Hello, everybody. It's a big Thursday. We have the new Degenerates Next Door sports betting podcast that will be coming out a little bit later on today around 1 o'clock. If you want to jump the gun a little bit and see Rob's picks for the PGA Championship, we put those on the Degenerates Next Door Twitter app. Who are you riding with?
Well, right now there's a bunch of goobers leading the tournament, but yeah, I've got they all go out after one, which I'm doing so well today. We got Justin Thomas, Morikawa, Matsuyama, and Jordan Spieth.
Yeah.
Now, is this going to be a tough course? Is this an easy course? What are we looking at?
Nah, this is the PGA screwing this up. They keep putting there's 4 majors, right? There's the Masters, the PGA, the U.S. Open, the British Open. The PGA is the least exclusive of all it's the biggest field. But they're at this tournament that always hosts other tournaments, Quail Hollow. The fun of the majors is you see courses you don't see the rest of the time, and it's at this course where there's just nothing
special.
But they're going to kill some guys at the U.S. Open this year, so I'm pretty excited. It's at Oakmont, and they're saying 6-inch rough and 15 on the stimp meter for green. So some men will it'll be like storming the hill at Iwo Jima. Some men are not going to make it back from Oakmont this year, so let them have some fun at the PGA.
I think that's actually vastly different than storming the hill, to be honest with you. But
have you ever seen Oakmont ready for a U.S. Open? I don't know, buddy.
Is there still beef between the live golfers and the PGA? Is that still a thing?
No, live is like Savannah Bananas. They wear shorts. There's music playing. Everyone's drinking.
But when some of the live dudes come back to play here, though, the PGA guys get all butthurt.
No, here's the thing. Those live guys made those PGA dudes a whole bunch of money because they changed how they handed the money out to the PGA guys after live. So all of these people who are huffing and puffing about how bad live was, they're certainly not giving any of the extra money back that they have made from the PGA Tour.
Because McIlroy's a big pain in the ass about the live guys, isn't he?
You could have just stopped with McIlroy's a big pain in the ass. Period. Full stop.
Okay.
I mean, the fact that little wimp is the face of the PGA Tours. Although I did win money on him at the Masters, so I feel like I'm being cruel to someone who helped my family.
And the NFL schedule was released last night, and the Colts have a home Monday Night Football game somehow this upcoming season. Now it's Christmas week. It's December 22nd. It's Monday night against San Francisco here in Indy, and also the Colts go to Berlin to play the Falcons in Germany. I still think the halftime show for that game should be Berlin. They're going to play all their hits like Take My Breath Away and Take My Breath Away and one more round of Take My Breath Away.
Now, are you pondering doing the daily double on race day, the Indy 500 and the Pacers home game in person?
I am. I'm considering doing the double. The Indy fan double is going to take place on the 25th. Indy 500 in the day, 8 p.m. tip-off for the Pacers that night. Now, what you run into is what if fan double is going to take place in the day for the Pacers? Run into if like last year, like we saw a sunset Indy 500, which was awesome, but trying to get out of the track, get to your car, get downtown to that Pacers game, you wouldn't have made it in time.
Race guy and pacer guy, because let's face it, it is no longer really the Hicks of the Hicks versus Knicks. Like we were watching that game the other day, whatever the last Pacer home game was, and I was telling my old man, I said, man, you look at that stadium now compared to Market Square Arena in the 1990s, it's a little more dignified in the crowd than it was back then. I think it's a little upper with what those tickets cost. Now, it's a little bit of upper class that are attending the Pacers games.
And it's always been about the fans and not the players, because Eddie White was on with us yesterday and made a great point. When you look at Hicks versus Knicks in the 90s, the Pacers had a bunch of dudes from New York. Donnie Walsh is from New York. The Simons are from New York.
Yeah.
Chris Mullin played at St. John's. Mark Jackson played at St. John's. Meanwhile, the Knicks had a bunch of Hicks. Like Charles Oakley grew up in the Midwest, and John Starks grew up in the Midwest. They're more likely to fix a tractor than Mark Jackson was.
Can you picture Charles Oakley under a tractor?
But, man, it's going to be real fun. I'm so excited for the next 2 weeks. Let's hope the city puts on a good show for everybody. Hope everybody behaves themselves.
Casey, and we're going to get into this later, you're not going to be eligible for that. She's doing the worst Hoosier thing imaginable. She's leaving Indiana Memorial Day weekend.
Where are you going?
Going to the East Coast to see my kid. Well, you know what? The dude took a new job. He doesn't have a lot of vacation days, so we decided that Memorial Day we're off, and then he'll only use 4 for the rest of the week, but we'll get a full week's vacation out of it.
Okay.
So, you know.
Yeah, but, I mean, you're abandoning Indiana during Memorial Day weekend.
I know. I'm going to leave you to your own devices.
You should probably just have your citizenship, your Hoosier card revoked.
If it is Pacers and Knicks. Now, the Celtics, they won last night. They've moved that to a Game 6.
Game 6 in the Garden, I think tomorrow.
Yeah.
But if the Knicks close this thing out, you're looking at a situation where Saturday, the day of the parade, the New York Liberty are in town to play the Fever.
Oh.
And then the next day, you've got the 500 and the Knicks in town. It could be a screw New York weekend here in Indy.
That's very exciting. What are we doing this afternoon?
You are going to come by and go off the rails. We got Jeff Boggs on with us, and one of the guys from that Fox Nation reality show where they just don't know what's happened since the inauguration. They locked him in a house.
You going to have one on?
He's a guy from Newcastle.
That's awesome.
And he's going to come on with us today.
Thanks, Hammer. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Your home is your sanctuary. Get the peace of mind you deserve with a free estimate on a Generac automatic standby generator for your home from Generator Supercenter, the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. With expert installation and 24-hour monitoring, Generator Supercenter won't leave you in the dark. Financing is available. Take control of your power today with Generator Supercenter. Call 317-827-0808. Generator Supercenter of Indianapolis, 317-827-0808.
Life Church would like to say congratulations to all the upcoming graduates. You know, graduation is quite an accomplishment, and Life Church would like to let you know they're here to partner with families. Life Church pastors are there to walk through difficult times and to celebrate the wins. Life Church wants to acknowledge this important milestone in the lives of graduating seniors and their families. To learn more about how Life Church can be there for your family, check them out on the web. You can learn all about their 4 locations across central Indiana: Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. Their great online services and so much more. LifeChurchIN.com, LifeChurchIN.com.
During much of Indiana's history, communicating on the telephone with the deaf or hard of hearing was nearly impossible. Friends and loved ones couldn't stay in touch, so the hard of hearing became isolated. Today, those with hearing loss have equal access with the captioned telephone from Relay Indiana and can keep their independence. Relay Indiana allows a caller to read what the other party is saying. This advanced technology keeps Hoosiers connected so that everyone can contribute to Indiana's productive future. Learn more at RelayIndiana.com.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Zero Res. Get 3 rooms cleaning starting at just $129 plus $75 off air duct cleaning. 317-388-5141. Book online at ZeroResIndy.com.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, get 30% off all patio furniture, wicker, Berlin Gardens, poly, cast aluminum, teak, and more.
Coming up in 2 minutes from the Technology Recycler Studios, the possibilities for severe weather in Indiana, why a former CVS pharmacist in Indianapolis says you should not go to CVS, and what to know about parking this weekend at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Jake McDaniel will break all that down for you, plus a report from the Speedway. Those stories and more after Fox News on 93 WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis, it's 11 o'clock.
Not guilty. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That is the plea a judge entered in federal court in Wisconsin to obstruction charges, accused of helping an illegal immigrant escape the court last month, preventing his arrest there by federal agents.
There is yet again another crowd of protesters that have been out here over the last couple of weeks on a regular basis protesting the arrest of Milwaukee County Circuit Judge Hannah Dugan.
Fox's Garrett Tenney also reports
her legal team is hoping that the entire case against her gets dismissed. In a legal filing, they argue that Judge Dugan cannot be prosecuted because she's entitled to judicial immunity for her official acts, which they argue includes controlling her courtroom by removing anyone who could disrupt it.
The Supreme Court's considering another Trump case related to the president's order blocked by federal judges to end birthright citizenship. Though it's in the Constitution, the president wants to stop allowing kids born in the U.S. to parents here illegally from automatically being Americans. The issue before the justices, the injunctions against the Trump order.
Where a judge in Portland,
into Oregon can set policy that affects a family in Portland, Maine. The DOJ says judges are increasingly abusing power by being able to do so. However, critics of what the DOJ is doing will argue that the judiciary is a co-equal branch of government and judges have every right to issue a nationwide injunction.
Fox's David spoke with a lot of protesters outside the Supreme Court. President Trump is now in the United Arab Emirates, the final stop on his Middle East trip. Before leaving Qatar, the president held a rally with U.S. troops.
We love and respect you. This is what you're doing, the service you do for your country. You keep us safe.
The soldiers and airmen at the Al Udeid base gave the commander-in-chief a big cheer when he said he plans to give them pay raises. There was deflation last month. Wholesale prices declined 0.5% from March. The annual producer price inflation rate also declined, but that could change. Walmart warns it'll have to raise some prices, citing new U.S. tariffs increasing Walmart costs. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
How it's supposed to change this time. You've got a mostly sunny sky, and it's 77 degrees in the Circle City. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:02. High temperatures will be near record highs today, but then rough weather could arrive and cause some issues tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Friday, we're going to have just about as warm and humid, and we'll have the cold front, the boundary from the system coming through that should help to organize more widespread severe weather on Friday, possibly.
Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says damaging winds or hail are just a couple of the things to watch out for. Has CVS messed up your prescription? Katie Forbes used to work at a CVS in Indianapolis, and she calls it the worst place you could ever work.
The medication errors are out of control at every pharmacy. It's not like an isolated incident. Patients are getting the wrong medications. They're getting other people's meds. They're getting it's just insane what's going on. And I don't know how CVS has gotten away with this for so long.
Forbes tells Wish TV she reported many of the issues she identified to the Indiana Board of Pharmacy, but then felt intimidation from management over her choice to speak up. CVS says they're committed to providing appropriate levels of staffing. A missing girl found dead by the Indianapolis airport in February died of a drug overdose, according to the Marion County Coroner's Office. 15-year-old Shaylee Snyder was first reported missing on February 10th, and 12 days later is when her body was found near the airport. The coroner says her cause of death was ruled as combined intoxication by meth and heroin. A new bill passed by Indiana lawmakers could lead to tolls on more highways across the state. Supporters argue that Indiana's current road funding model, reliant on gas taxes, is not sufficient because of shrinking revenues from fuel-efficient and electric vehicles. Local governments claim they face a funding gap to maintain roads and bridges, prompting consideration of tolling as a potential solution. If you're going to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway this weekend or next, get ready for parking to be tight. Jake McDaniel reports.
From Thursday evening at 6 to Sunday evening at 8 for both weekends, featuring qualifications in the Indy 500 race, you won't be able to park on the south or east sides of roads within the 25th to Crawfordsville area. It is also good to avoid parking overnight near Meadowwood or Leonard Parks. Main Street has a 3-hour limit for parking as well. If it rains and messes with the schedule, those restrictions could last longer. Jake McDaniel, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
Good morning from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm Brendan King with your 93 WIBC track update. It's brought to you by Reinhardt Heating and Cooling, your American Standard Air dealer, proudly serving Danville and Hendricks County for 39 years. That car you just heard crossed the yard of bricks. Tony Kanaan, who is currently participating in his veteran refresher, which had been postponed for the previous 48 hours due to rain at IMS. But it is a beautiful morning today, and Tony Kanaan running that veteran refresher. He would only get in the Indianapolis 500 if Kyle Larson, who is trying to run the double between IMS and the Coca-Cola 600, would have to leave on race day due to rain. Kanaan would then replace him. He's got to run 15 laps, 210 to 215 miles per hour, and then another 15 at 215 mph plus. Full practice starts at noon. I'm Brendan King from the track, 93 WIBC.
And I'm John Herrick on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. 11:05, Kendall and Casey coming back in 1 minute.
Spring in Indy, and if you hate to paint, do what your neighbor Don did. He called Rhino Shield.
Well, the home was built in 1948. Paint on the aluminum siding was peeling, and I couldn't find anyone who would repaint it until I called Rhino Shield.
Rhino Shield's better than paint. And the crew?
Painted all my aluminum siding, and I've got a front porch that runs the whole length of the house, and all the pillars and everything. And once they were gone, I couldn't even tell that they were there.
With Rhino Shield's 25-year transferable warranty, you'll never have to paint your home again. And right now, you can have Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
Well, I've told a lot of people, do the Rhino Shield. It's really a great product, and if you don't want to paint the house, that would be the way to go.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino!
Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
This hour on 93 WIBC is powered by Pierce Jewelers, Carmel's Diamond Engagement Ring Store.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Well, people are finally starting to wake up to these data centers.
If you complain enough, you might get your way on some things. On some things.
Not on property tax reform.
Correct.
No. You'll be told to eat crap and die when it comes to being able to afford to stay in your home. But this is interesting. And look, this is good because the conversation really is beginning to explode here in central Indiana. And look, I think this radio station is a big part in this radio show in particular. Not to say that maybe some of the other shows haven't touched on it, but I don't think anybody does the deep dive on local government stuff like this show does, and this is why we do it. I think it's having an impact, and people are starting to wake up to the lack of actual verifiable benefit that these data centers are bringing to communities and the immense harm that they are causing across central Indiana in terms of what are going to be skyrocketing utility increases, in addition to the destruction of the Hoosier landscape as we have known it. And a bunch of these communities, people in these communities, are now starting to, at least on some level, fight back against these data centers.
So Surge Development has withdrawn a proposal to rezone 700 acres of farmland in Hancock County, and it was going to be intended for industrial use like a data center. But the decision followed some significant opposition from residents. And so now the developer is resubmitting a new proposal later with more specific details.
Well, and when you're dealing with, in this case of this Shelbyville developer, 700 acres, you're talking about consequential, irreversible changes to the landscape of the community. This is like what's going on in Pittsburgh right now, where there's 600 plus acres that they're considering rezoning. You're never recovering from that. You're never putting the toothpaste back in the tube. And if you're going to give up, and it is a struggle. And I had this conversation with somebody yesterday about just, because Mike and I were having this conversation when we had the lunch the other day. We were talking about, he said, well, there's a struggle with protecting communities, the tradition, the landscape of communities, and the individual rights, the rights of individuals to be able to sell their land when they don't want to, in this case, farm the land or whatever. And it is a valid struggle. But part of what we have decided as a collective, as a society, is that when you live in an area, when you set up roots in a community, you become a shareholder in that community to an extent, which means while elected people and appointed people ultimately make the choices, you do have a voice and a right to a voice in what goes on in the place in which you have become a part of that area. Now, ultimately, can you single-handedly stop something? No, of course not, nor should you have the right to. But your voice and the collective voice of the community and what that want that community to be that they have been in and have set up roots in it and were there before whatever the proposed thing is there, it should carry some weight in the decision-making process.
There was a town hall meeting and about 400 residents attended it, and they expressed some concerns. It was a 2.5-hour meeting, and they were concerned about the resource consumption, specifically water and electricity. They were concerned about the noise, the environmental impact, lack of transparency about what companies were going to go in there, what buildings were going to be placed on that land, and also the impact to Tuttle Orchards, which consistently is listed as one of the top orchards in central Indiana. So now this company, the proposed planned unit development, the PUD, which was going to have warehouses and manufacturing plant and that possible data center, they're now abandoning that PUD format, and they're going to refocus on their zoning tied to very specific uses and projects.
Planned urban development, PUD.
Planned, yeah.
Right. Okay, so the what's interesting is the data center is becoming the new house farm. So if you look at and I always tell this to people when there's a proposed development in your community, unless that person lives in your town, they don't actually care about your community. They're there to make money. Those developers, when they show up to your planning commission or your economic development commission or the board of zoning appeals or your town or city council, unless those people that own whatever that thing is going in there live in that town, they don't care. They see the ground, they see your town, they see your city as a money-making factory. And that's why you got to show up to these things and fight them, because you're left with the consequence. They build, they sell, they move on. They make money. That's what these developers do. They don't care about the long-term ramification because they ain't there, which is why when you go to these meetings and they get up in the public hearings and they say, John Jones, Acme Development, blah, 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 Fishers. David. Trying to use names we want. Like, he said my name. David. Acme Inc. Greenwood, right? It's there's a great chance they're not from where you're from, and you have to view them as essentially, because there are developments that are good for communities. I'm not disputing that. But you have to view them as people who are essentially pillaging the land for their own benefit. And you have to fight them accordingly. And if you fight them accordingly, you will be able to get something better, hopefully, than what they're initially proposing, because what they initially propose will be 100% to benefit them and 0 to benefit you, period.
So the developer responded, his name is Chris King, and he said that they still plan to build on the site eventually, but they're going to wait for a clear, interested user before submitting a new zoning request. So this is a win for the people of Hancock County, at least for now. And you had mentioned, the businesses coming in. Well, here is your Senator, Jim Banks. He's bragging about the businesses that are coming to Indiana, but I want you to pay attention to one thing. He doesn't mention any tax abatements or state-funded incentives.
In Indiana, we've had a lot of really good news. Indiana's the crossroads of America. We're the top manufacturing state per capita in the country, and immediately after Liberation Day, I was at the Rose Garden for Liberation Day. Immediately in the aftermath of that, GM in Fort Wayne, where I live, announced hundreds of new jobs and more overtime pay for their workers. Eli Lilly announced pulling out $28 billion in manufacturing in China and abroad and bringing it back to the U.S., including Indiana. Novartis, Roche Diagnostics is making a $50 billion announcement on Monday in Indiana. A Made in America bicycle company in Columbus, Indiana. I could go on. Honda announces they're going to make the next generation Honda Civic in Indiana instead of Mexico. I mean, these are really, really good announcements that are really good for Hoosiers and working class people.
Did you hear him?
I heard him.
Did he say it?
I always hear Jimmy when he speaks. Now, Jimmy's got a problem because at some point he's going to have a fairly serious surgery, Casey, and we all should pray for Jimmy. At some point, they're going to have to extract his nose from between Trump's butt cheeks, and there could be some sort of serious ramification.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's exactly involved in that.
Yeah.
But look, Jim Banks has no concept of what's going on here. He has no clue. Eli Lilly has been given, as we heard from Nikki Kelly, close to $2 billion in quote-unquote incentives to come do business in the state of Indiana. They were given money. They were given stuff. The stuff we're giving them is just better and easier than what they're getting somewhere else. He acts like there's some what would the great charm, if you're a business, of doing business in Indiana be? The taxes certainly aren't low. The roads suck. The public education system is abysmal. What's the lure other than we're giving away other people's stuff to these companies?
Yeah, well, that's it. It's the incentives and the abatements.
And of course, Jim is never going to come on the show because he doesn't want anybody to actually ask him real questions and push back on him. And that's fine. But when he says things like this, he sounds like what he is. He's completely clueless, and he has just become a professional cheerleader for Trump. There's many things Trump that is doing that are fine. But if we're going to talk about Liberation Day, let's talk about what Walmart just said, which is prices are about to go up because of what it's costing them to do business because of the Trump tariffs. So you can't have it both ways. You got to mention about, of course, you don't have to if you're a politician and you're just trying to elevate yourself to the next position. What Jim Banks does over and over and over again, like why he voted for Kevin McCarthy to be Speaker of the House 15 times, then whines and bitches and moans about all the stuff that happens under Kevin McCarthy's watch.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
The grass grows taller. Fathers take sons for their first trip to the Speedway. Sons take fathers to their 50th. Family traditions wrapped in checkered black and white. This is May in Indiana.
Starting to form in a perfect formation.
And this is your station for the month of May.
Green flag flies.
The radio home of the Indianapolis 500 for over 70 years. 93 WIBC.
Sometimes an identity threat is a ring of professional hackers. And sometimes it's an overworked accountant who forgot to encrypt their connection while sending bank details.
I need a coffee.
And you need LifeLock because your info is in endless places. It only takes one mistake to expose you to identity theft. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
It's the Bash Sale, the biggest automotive sale in history. Your local Bill Estes dealerships are coming in hot with deals on trucks you don't want to miss. We have a huge selection of trucks at one easy online stop. Brand new Chevy, Ford, GMC, Jeep, Ram, and Toyota trucks with a massive pre-owned selection too. Plus, our fair and direct upfront pricing means what you see is what you pay. Shift into savings during the Bash Sale. Only at Bill Estes dealerships, and drive away in your dream truck today. Online at BillEstesTrucks.com.
This is the epic story that takes a whole month to tell. This is May. The legendary intense action of the month of May continues as PPG presents Armed Forces Indy 500 qualifying and the thrilling drama of the fight for the pole position. The most epic month continues with Indy's most epic party, Your Light Carb Day. And all roads lead to the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500 presented by Gainbridge. This is epic. This is legendary. This is May. Buy now and save. Get tickets at IMS.com.
Would you know if someone you love was having a stroke? Franciscan Health is here when minutes matter. Like knowing when to be fast. Recognized by Health Grades as Indiana's #1 provider for stroke care, Franciscan Health Indianapolis wants you to know how to spot the signs and lower your risk for stroke. Because time loss is brain loss. Protect yourself and those you love today. Learn more at franciscanhealth.org/strokecare.
You ready to build your custom dream home? Check out Joyner Homes based out of Greenfield. See one of their model homes in person anytime. It is a great way for you to experience the customization and quality of a Joyner Homes custom built home. Plus, you can meet with a new home specialist to learn about their building process. Available lots if you don't already have one. Find out about floor plans and where they build. Model homes are open 7 days a week from noon to 5 and walk-ins are welcome. Find out more at joynerhomes.com.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, see their large selection of grills, Weber, Traeger, and Napoleon, along with the Big Green Egg.
I'm a proud owner of B Window.
I'm a proud B Window owner.
I'm a proud B Window owner.
When you work with a local, employee-owned home improvement company like B Window, quality comes first because your home improvements are a reflection of our business. And for a limited time, we're extending our employee discount to you, up to 55% off all products and services, plus 18 months, no interest, no payments. Trust local, trust employee-owned, trust your home to be.
Trust me. Oh my God, I feel it in the air, telephone wires.
All right, the temps are warming up, and you know what that means. Summer concert season is upon us. You've got pool parties, beach vacations, but live music extravaganzas. What was the last show you went and saw?
My buddy Scott came in from Ohio last year. He's a famed newsman for the one of the big talk stations in Ohio. We went to the Judas Priest concert.
That's right, you did.
People were shocked they saw me at the Judas Priest concert.
Kevin, what about you?
I went to Riot Fest in Chicago and saw bands like Sum 41 and a couple others.
You don't remember him. You don't even remember. You're having such a good time. You don't even remember who was there.
Bob Marley's sons were there. I remember that. That was like the very last show.
Is that how they advertised
sure about
them?
that?
Bob Marley's sons.
Yeah.
You know, Louie and Tito and you know the Bob Marley boys.
They're so much like their father.
I'm sure they are. I used to go to concerts all the time. I do not have time to go to concerts anymore.
Yeah. It's getting more expensive for you because now you have to get a baby.
Somebody should have told me how involved parenting was.
Yeah, you have to hire a babysitter now.
Jeez,
you're going to do that.
I can just leave my wife at home.
I think this is kind of interesting. This article has broken down what you pay per song.
Oh, yeah.
If you go to a concert. And Kevin brought us in with some Lana Del Rey bumper music.
Yeah.
And she is one of the most expensive artists to see per song.
Because she doesn't sing many songs?
It's a 15-song set, 83 minutes long.
Wait. A 15 song, that's it?
15 songs, 83-minute set.
Is that normal?
Yeah, I guess.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that can't be right.
No, that seems short. That's like an hour.
Although when I went to Hall & Oates a couple years ago, it was like 13 songs.
Depends on how much they talk in between, I guess, right?
Do they do that a lot? Do they talk? The 15 songs, that's it?
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
So to see Lana Del Rey in concert, it costs $16.02 per song.
Per song.
Per song.
Wow.
That breaks out to $2.90 per minute.
Now, okay, so like they have opening acts. I assume there's some sort of opening act too. Usually that goes out with these big name people.
Yeah,
sure. They don't go by themselves.
Right. I don't have that breakdown though.
Oh, well.
I've got Lady Gaga. She's $13.97 per song. Beyonce, $13.63 per song. And I was surprised by this. Oasis is a top revenue generator.
No kidding.
They make $17 million per show.
How much?
$17.16 million per show. Highest overall nightly revenue. 70,000 is their average crowd per show.
What?
They make $13.60 per song, or $1.80 per minute.
Oasis gets 70,000.
They play 33 songs.
Really? Who's?
So they actually broke up in, I think it was 2009, and then they just recently got back together within this past year.
Well, I didn't even know they were back together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I mean, they're huge. I feel like they're not as big in the U.S., but they definitely have a dedicated fan base.
70,000 people is bigger than Lucas Oil Stadium. You're telling me Oasis would be able to play Lucas Oil? Like if they said Oasis is coming, if you just said Oasis is coming to Indianapolis and you told me they're playing at Gainbridge Fieldhouse, I would say, okay. You're telling me Oasis
would sell out Lucas Oil.
I don't believe that for a second.
Maybe I feel like they're making all of their money on European
That's
stops.
what Kevin's saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and also I don't think Oasis would ever come to Indianapolis because it'd be questionable here.
Really?
But in Chicago, I think they could sell out.
So they could
easily.
play Soldier Field.
Yeah, I think they actually are.
No kidding.
They're charging $272 per ticket. They play 33 songs or a 151-minute set.
So this is where the ridiculous comes in, right? You have priced out, and this happened a long time ago, but you have priced out the actual fan.
Mm-hmm.
You are creating financial barriers that makes it very hard, or a financial burden on the fan to actually go enjoy the show itself. And I get that it's supply and demand, but there was a time, and you know when it all got screwed up is it used to be that you would camp outside for the tickets. Like you go here and you get the tickets. And if you want the tickets and you're willing to sleep in a tent,
wait in line.
You wait in line, you get in down in the front row, right? And now that doesn't exist anymore.
No, well, you're battling someone online.
That's right. Who may not be a fan, they just want money.
Right.
Right.
So the best value artist is Ed Sheeran. He plays 24 songs, 127
For
minutes.
3 cents?
91 cents per minute.
Well, that's not 3 cents.
$4.79
value
per
is
song.
all in the eye of the beholder.
Mm-hmm. His tickets are about $115.
If you're paying anything, you need to reassess your...
Some other best value
Thought
artists are Usher, Drake, Hozier, and Green Day. And concert ticket...
Hozier?
Hozier.
Hoosier?
Yeah. Hozier?
No.
How do you say it? Hozier, right?
Hozier. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's an Irish R&B singer, I
He's
think.
a what?
I think you would
He's the
call
one
him...
who sings "Take Me to Church," right?
Right. He's
Yeah.
kind of like R&B mixed with alternative rock.
Sounds miserable.
His music is very gloomy.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so then you got on top of that, like Ruoff. What are they now? It's not. Is it Ruoff?
Ruoff?
What is it? Deer Creek.
Always and forever.
You got now they got some parking fee on top of it.
Mhm.
There's some mandatory parking fee to bring your automobile into the facility on top of whatever you pay for. I don't know how people continue to consistently go to concerts to see their favorite bands. It's just so $200.
Right.
That's really expensive.
Ticket prices have surged 45% over the last 5 years.
And that's a post-COVID world.
Yeah.
Right?
So you've got someone like Lana Del Rey who's offering a short, high-cost set. So you won't get a lot of songs, and they're going to be expensive.
Yeah.
And then you have someone like Ed Sheeran who's going to play a lot of songs, and it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, so I had asked my wife, because she loves Lana Del Rey.
I know.
And this is why my wife is perfect for me. I asked her a couple years ago if she'd like to go, and you know what she told me? She said, "Why? I can listen for free on my phone."
There you go.
And I said, I should marry that woman. That's when I knew.
I'm surprised you didn't come back with, well, it's not free because we have to pay the cell phone bill, or you're paying $10 a month for Spotify. Itemize it out for.
I'd seen what those tickets cost, and I took the win where I could get it, Casey.
Did you see the picture of Nicolas Cage dressed up as John Madden? Was that real?
Well, I didn't know this. I was going to ask you. You're the entertainment guru on this program.
I haven't had a chance to look up to see if he's playing, if it's like for a new movie role.
Yeah,
or
there's
something.
some movie coming out about Al Davis, the Raiders, the famed, very eccentric owner of the Raiders. And it's my understanding Nicolas Cage is in that movie as John Madden.
So that picture is obviously from a part that he's playing. It's a little scary looking.
Yeah, and Christian Bale is actually playing Al Davis in the movie, which that's going to be wild. So Al Davis was the owner of the Oakland Raiders when they were the AFL, then obviously transitioned over to the NFL. Al Davis was probably in a time of the 70s and 80s with highly colorful and eccentric owners of NFL teams. He was the tippy-top cream of the crop, a colossal pain in the backside of every person he encountered. He made both, in his career, some of the greatest decisions in the history of football, and then towards the end, some of the worst decisions in the history of football. He took the Raiders from the pinnacle of the National Football League to the cellar-dweller laughingstock of the National Football League. And I think this movie, in which Christian Bale plays Al Davis, and Nicolas Cage plays John Madden, tracks a lot of that time.
Yeah. You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It is 93 WIBC.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
All the threats to keep an eye on. I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Tornadoes are possible as the first of two storm systems can roll through Indiana later today.
We're expecting the chances of severe weather not just today, but also tomorrow, Friday. So we'll take it one day at a time. The first shot would be what we call a conditional threat. We're not thinking it's going to be too widespread, although some things to look at. The ingredients probably will come together, but not to a widespread nature.
Forecaster Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is engaging in peace talks in Turkey despite Russian President Vladimir Putin being absent. Zelensky arrived in the country for the scheduled talks but slammed the Russian delegation upon landing. He calls it a sham. And the PGA Championship is underway in North Carolina. It's the second major golf event of the year. I'm John Herrick, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You know exactly why you need to remodel that kitchen of yours. The space, it's outdated. You can't move around like you used to. It doesn't work like it needs to. You want to entertain and you want to improve your quality of life. This can happen, just not with the kitchen you have. You need to call Booher Remodeling, BOOHER, BooherRemodeling.com. They can take that old kitchen that's deteriorating and broken down and turn it into something that works for you and your family. Their 5-step design process from start to finish, the consultation, the preliminary design, the design development, getting all the documents together, and then getting it done. The best materials, the most skilled craftsmen in central Indiana. Booher Remodeling will guide you through the entire process, starting with the free initial consultation, and they stand behind their work with a 2-year workmanship guarantee. Create that new kitchen. Design experts can use an existing layout or begin completely from scratch. Talk to Booher Remodeling today. BOOHER, BooherRemodeling.com. That's BooherRemodeling.com.
Life can be full of risks. One thing you shouldn't take a risk with ever is your family's health insurance. If you're self-employed or you now need affordable health insurance, you need to make this free call right now and see how the Health Insurance Helpline can help you get it. We specialize in helping the self-employed and people just like you that need affordable health insurance to get it. We have short and long-term health insurance plans, and some even cover dental, vision, and prescription drugs. Don't take a risk with your family's health insurance. It's not worth it. If you're self-employed or now need affordable health insurance, call right now and learn for free how to get it. Listen, affordable health insurance plans for everyone just like you are a free phone call away. So give us a shout right now.
800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. 800-659-7540. That's 800-659-7540.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey, it's Big Joe for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, Reinhardt Heating and Cooling. Owner Danny Reinhardt's son Kevin says one simple saying from his dad affects him every day at work.
Especially when you go out and do sales and service calls and collect money and do all this stuff. It's important to a lot of people. He always said the number one thing I remember from him is just fair and honest wins every time.
You can trust Reinhardt Heating and Cooling, 317-745-4526. Reinhardt Heating and Cooling is your trusted local independent American Standard dealer.
Race into Pierce Jewelers in Carmel and make a pit stop to purchase that unique diamond engagement ring that will put you in the winner's circle. Remember, shop local, shop smart, shop Pierce Jewelers.
Miss M's annual open house is Saturday. Save 20% off everything in stock, excluding labor. Saturday only. Miss M's on State Road 135, south of Whiteland Road in Bargersville.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
I think you're being very short-sighted with this.
No, I think I'm choosing the side of safety and being reasonable.
Okay, so
and logical.
It's Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. So we had to put this out to our audience. So last segment, we were talking about what it costs to go to see some of the more high-profile musicians by the minute. You broke it down to the minute in some cases, or the song or whatever. And you talked about how the ticket prices had skyrocketed.
45% over the past 5 years.
In a post-COVID world. And it's clearly, as we saw like with the Taylor Swift deal, it doesn't matter what you're charging. Sometimes it's just impossible to get tickets.
Right, that's true.
They could have charged $7,000 a ticket, and people would have paid to see her sing about some boyfriend who was clearly bad news from the moment she walked up to him, and everybody saw it but her, and somehow the breakup was his fault and not hers. Okay. Then Kev pipes in, and he's like, yeah, I'm going to see the psychedelic porn crumpets maybe tonight, but I can't get a ticket. And I was like, you're going to see who? That's the name of the band?
Yeah, psychedelic porn crumpets. They're from Australia.
Okay.
And so they're playing at a local venue.
Yeah. Why can't you get a ticket?
Well,
They're
it actually
sold out.
It's sold out.
Oh,
okay.
Now, but I was thinking maybe StubHub might have some tickets. I don't know.
Well, so then I posed it to Kevin. I said, okay, so you want to go see psychedelic porn crumpets?
Of course he
does. And I said, you have some level of local notoriety where what if some WIBC listener, we put that out in the ether, and some WIBC listener was like, well, that's wild.
I am an extra.
I am going to see the psychedelic porn crumpets. My girlfriend left me this morning. I have an extra ticket that I said, would you go to a concert with a total stranger if it was a show you wanted to go see but could not get tickets to?
Yeah.
And I would have no problem doing that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know who would I even see now that I haven't seen. I'm probably the worst person for this. But if there was somebody I wanted to see and I couldn't get into the show and somebody had a ticket, I would go run the risk of meeting a stranger because otherwise I wouldn't be able to get into the show.
Right.
You agree, right? You would be willing to risk. Like right now, if somebody said, yes, I have an extra ticket to the psychedelic porn crumpets, and they would go with, and you never met this person before, you would take the risk.
Yeah, sure.
Because what's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, you're just going there to watch the show.
Exactly.
So.
What's the word? It's a public venue. It's not like you're meeting them at an outpost somewhere.
Yeah.
You're meeting them in a major metropolitan city at a public venue.
And they cover the cost,
That's
right?
what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like they're giving you the ticket to get into the show.
Yeah.
Now, if you
That's
want
good.
some beverage or something, you're going to buy it yourself. But it's a free ticket to a show you otherwise would not get into.
Yeah.
And then you're like, no way.
No, I wouldn't do it because I'd be paranoid the whole time that maybe they're going to try and put something in my drink. Or
You need beer that bad?
No,
You just can't go without a drink?
Okay, so no, I don't need beer that bad. But then all of a sudden, okay, I can't be myself. Like, what if I did? You know, it's just like the paranoia of, am I safe? And then there's also the possibility of, okay, I don't know this person. What if they're like a close talker, or they just want to like yap the whole time, and I'm there to enjoy the music, and they gave you the ticket, so you don't want to be rude, but you also like aren't enjoying the music that you're there for. Or what if it's like a seated venue and you want to get up and dance, and they're like, no, sit down, and you're like, you're not able to be yourself because you're kind of beholden to them and what they want because they gave you the ticket for free.
Well,
You
you're not their
understand?
servant. You can enjoy the show how you choose to enjoy the show. I can't believe you think that little of our audience, that you think someone would try to drug you or take you out. That's who you think's listening to this number one rated radio program?
Well, I missed the part where you said it would be from our audience.
Well, I'm
I
saying
thought it
if
was
somebody
just
heard
like
this
some
right now,
random person.
how else would they find you? Just
I
on
don't
the
know.
street?
Putting
Like,
it up on social media or something like that. Now, I will make one exception. I think I would feel much better about it if it were a woman, a female, because
Sounds pretty sexist.
well, I'm just thinking like, you know, there's not going to be anything nefarious going on.
How do you know?
Well, I don't. See, I don't. And that's why I wouldn't accept it. And if it were a concert that I really wanted to go to, one, I would have been on it sooner to get the ticket. Or if it's just impossible to get the ticket, I'm sorry. Life is full of disappointments. I'm just going to have to miss it.
Okay, well, Kevin and I will be at the show, and you'll be sitting at home.
You guys enjoy these
With our
psychedelic porn crumpets.
Yeah. I'm going to be crowd surfing anyway, so come feel free to join.
See, that would be your out. Kevin would be like, it's been fun hanging out with you. See ya. And then as he's floating through the venue.
I don't know. I think a lot of people wouldn't go to a concert with a total stranger.
Life is all about experiences, Casey.
Mhm.
And either way, you would have a great experience to tell people about the time I went to a concert with a complete and total stranger.
And you won't believe what they did. I mean, that's where that story goes.
Going to concerts is not the weirdest thing I've done with a total stranger. Trust me.
Say more words.
It's Kendall and Casey show. I'm Rob. That's Casey.
That's the change the subject, lady. Okay. Speaking of creepy, Eric and Lyle Menendez, they were resentenced and now they are eligible for parole.
Okay, so be honest. Honest with our audience.
Mhm.
Take away what they did. Did you find the Menendez brothers attractive?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Like, if you'd seen them out?
No.
I thought women loved the Menendez brothers.
Some women, maybe.
That's why they got off the hook the first time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
if they'd have looked like Ron Jeremy or whatever, then they wouldn't have got off. But,
Wow.
I mean, right there, that was a certain aspect to the Menendez brothers.
Right.
They clearly did this heinous thing. Their response after brutally murdering their parents, if the parents had been molesting them in the fashion that they had described, wouldn't you, after you shot them, have just stood there, called 911, and said, I killed these two people. They were horrible, rotten, awful humans who took advantage of me. They destroyed me. They messed me up mentally. I'm glad they're dead. Come take me away. Wouldn't that have been your response if you were actually – what they do, they hid it. They lied about it.
They did.
They spent all the money. Clearly the money was a big part of it for them. And I've just been amazed over the years that people buy their bull crap based on how they responded after they killed their parents.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a certain, I don't know, a smarmy look that you can point out, even on attractive people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So you do think they were attractive?
Well,
Smarmy,
no.
but attractive.
No, I'm thinking they were smarmy and not attractive.
Oh, okay.
But now they're eligible for parole. And
Only in California. California is the only place this could have possibly happened.
Well, you got to wonder if they went to trial originally today with everything you know now, would they have gotten the same sentence to begin with?
Well, look, I mean, it's indisputable that they brutally murdered their parents. And they also brutally murdered their parents at a time where the parents were not a threat or a perceived threat to them. They plotted the murder. It wasn't like in the act of some act of violence or the alleged molestation or any of that they were committing these crimes. That's another story. They clearly went to painstaking lengths to not only kill their parents, but in the worst attempt ever, cover up that they did the thing. It wasn't like it was hard to solve. And in the meantime, there's a famous basketball card, I think, of Mark Jackson.
Right, where they're sitting there in the front row.
At Madison Square
And that was
Garden.
after they did it, wasn't it?
Yes!
Yeah. So they were still out enjoying themselves.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. Now, does it mean that their parents were great people? No. Does it necessarily mean that they hadn't at some point maybe been molested? I don't know. Only they know the truth about what happened with that. But in the fashion in which they committed this crime, and then their actions afterward were not the people who were in fear of their life or worried about being able to live from one day to the next. And the way they blew through all that money, no, and sucks. They're probably going to get out, aren't they?
So, well, their new sentence is 50 years to life, so they're immediately eligible for parole consideration. And yeah, you got to wonder what that parole board's going to do.
Well, yeah. I mean, only in California, Casey. Only in California.
Hey, let's talk about summer travel coming up. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel show, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Jeff Boggs back in for Nigel. Rob Kendall flips out and goes off the rails. 93 WIBC. Hammer and Nigel here for Bill Demery. Look, one day the stock market's up, the next day it's down. If you're in your 20s or 30s, it's not a big deal. But the older you get, it creates uncertainty in retirement. But imagine when you've invested $200,000 or more and received a 20% upfront bonus on your deposit, plus a return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, and your money backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. To learn more about it, call our guy, Bill Demery, your retirement guy, 317-648-5120. Get an upfront 20% bonus on your deposit, a return that's averaged 7% a year for the past 10 years, and your money backed by one of the largest insurance companies in the world. We trust Bill Demery, and you can too. 317-648-5120. That's 317-648-5120.
Military veterans and active duty service members, you could become a certified cyber warrior with just 12 weeks of training at My Computer Career. Cybersecurity specialists are in high demand, and IT pros with these skills often enjoy abundant opportunity and a great lifestyle. Protect our people, liberty, and treasured institutions from cyber threats. SkillBridge and other VA benefits are available to those who qualify. Learn more at mycomputercareer.edu/CWP. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP.
Have recent storms caused damage to your roofing or siding? Cochran Exteriors is now offering free inspections to assess the condition of your home, from blown-offs to full replacements. Cochran Exteriors knows the insurance process and will make your home as good as new as fast as possible. Trust a company that was here before the storm and will be long after. For your free, no-obligation consultation, schedule today at CochranExteriors.com or call 317-ROOFING. Cochran Exteriors, referred for a reason for over 15 years.
Spring is here, and Dammons is full speed ahead with endless plant production of perennials, annuals, hanging baskets, roses, and planters. Trucks are arriving with fresh trees and shrubs. Dammons' friendly staff is ready to assist you and get you the help you need. So for any of your gardening needs, experience Dammons South on Emerson Avenue and Dammons West on Rockville Road.
Dammons Lawn and Garden, Indiana's most complete garden center.
Why'd I go to the doctor? One day at the firehouse, I was so lightheaded I could barely stand. Even my crew noticed. Getting checked out was the right call. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit NoTimeToWait.com, sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers. So we build specially adapted homes at Homes for Our Troops. And thanks to our donors and supporters, this life-changing gift of freedom is provided mortgage-free to these veterans. But we need you to join us, too, in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Turning 65, new to Medicare, or just moved? If you qualify for Medicare and Medicaid, a Humana Dual Eligible Special Needs Plan, a D-SNP, may give you the extra benefits you're looking for. A D-SNP helps cover things like prescriptions and checkups, but it also helps pay for essentials, too. With a Humana D-SNP, you get $225 a month for eligible groceries, rent, utilities, and more. Plus, whatever you don't spend carries over to the next month. You may even get benefits like $0 copays on routine prescriptions, plus routine dental, vision, or hearing coverage. All of this could make a difference for your health and wallet. Learn more at GetHumana.com. Humana, a more human way to healthcare. Humana is a coordinated care HMO SNP plan with a Medicare contract and a contract with the Indiana Medicaid program. Enrollment in any Humana plan depends on contract renewal. Allowance amounts cannot be combined with other benefit allowances. Limitations and restrictions may apply.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
The Home and Garden Show is on the road this Saturday. They'll be broadcasting live from 9 to 1 at Miss M's Home and Garden Spring Open House in Bargersville. Enjoy the Pearl Coffee Company, Mallow Run Winery, and Chomp's Food Truck. There'll be door prizes, giveaways, and more.
Keep a fire burning in your eye. Pay attention to the open sky. You never know.
It's going to be a hot one today, Rob, and a hot one tomorrow. Hot and humid, as a matter of fact. Feels like summer, doesn't it?
You ever pondered if you had to make a choice between sweltering heat or freezing cold, what you're choosing?
Yes, I'm choosing heat.
You're taking the heat?
Every single time. I hate the cold.
Yeah.
That's good thing I moved out of Michigan.
I would tend to think most people would agree with you that if you said you have to function in one environment, sweltering heat or freezing cold, most people would indeed take the sweltering heat.
Take the heat. What about you? What do you choose?
Yeah, probably. I really need a climate-controlled environment, which is why I chose radio.
You need air conditioning. I'll take the heat with AC, please. So summer travel season just right around the corner, and it's expected to break some records this year. AAA predicting that 45 million people are going to travel on Memorial Day weekend.
How many?
45 million.
Wow, that's, in a country of 330 million people, that's well over 10% of the populace.
About 1 million of them are Hoosiers.
Oh.
You going to go anywhere next weekend? You're going to be right here. You're going to be right here.
Be the same place I always am.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you know me, I'm very hesitant to ever leave the county line because I lose my diplomatic immunity.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, how could you? So I spent, let's see, I think in my entire life, I've spent one Memorial Day outside of the state of Indiana.
Really?
Yeah, that's it.
So you're always here, enjoying race day.
I'm a Hoosier Townie lifer person.
Where'd you go when you did leave? Do you remember?
None of your business.
Oh, really?
So,
well, now I'm more interested.
Look, I don't pry into your personal business, and I'll ask you not to pry into mine.
Okay.
But I mean, being a Hoosier it's a family program, Casey. It was many years ago, and it doesn't matter who was in what state doing what with who.
Okay.
We're all better people today. Point is, being a Hoosier almost requires you to be in the state of Indiana for Memorial Day weekend because of the Indy 500.
Well, and this year even more exciting because you got the Pacers game as well.
That's right. So what an ultimate sporting day. The Sunday. Well, because technically Memorial Day is the Monday, but the Sunday you're going to have the Indy 500 and the Pacers having a home game that night.
Yep, I know.
You're going to do the double dip. You're going to go to the track and then go to the game. You're an events person. I am not. I am a don't leave my house person. You, on the other hand, though, are an events person. I could see you and your husband doing the double dip.
We would if we were going to be here.
Oh, you're leaving?
We are leaving.
You're leaving?
Yes.
The Indy. You're not going to be here for the Indy. I just did some big speech about how.
I know how fantastic it is. But you know what? We looked at the calendar because, he started a new job recently. He doesn't have a whole bunch of vacation days. So we've got Monday off, which means if we take Tuesday through Friday off, that's only 4 days of vacation days, PTO he has to use. So that's our big summer vacay this year.
So wait. So when are you leaving? What are you doing? What's happening?
We're leaving Friday when we get off the air and won't be back until what, June 1st?
Oh, so you're going to be gone all that week?
Yeah, the whole week.
You're going to leave me here by myself?
I am.
Or with Lopez or Ethan or whoever.
Somebody. Brett Kloppensteinstein.
Perfect.
Somebody will be hanging out with you.
Maybe Matt will just forget and I'll just be able to do the show by myself.
You think so?
Well, didn't he get the day? Because I'm out Tuesday.
Yeah.
And apparently he thought it was this Tuesday.
Yeah, the other day.
This past Tuesday. And he messaged you.
And he was asking who was filling in. And I was like, isn't that your job to tell me? But then he realized he was a week ahead. So you're right. Maybe he'll forget when I'm on vacation.
That would be an ideal situation for me, would be for everyone to forget. And then I could
your own devices.
Sit in my own pleasure by myself.
And you can play all the Dan Fogelberg and Bruce Springsteen that you want.
So you're going, okay, so you're don't you feel like you're sort of betraying?
I do kind of feel like, wow, it's going to be an exciting weekend here in Indianapolis. But I also feel like I want to go see my kids.
Well, that's true.
That's the
trade-off. Why didn't your kid ever come to see you?
Yeah. Well, she started a new job.
Well, she also has a job.
Her new big girl job.
Everyone has a new job in your house except for you, and you're stuck here with me.
I know. But this summer, according to NerdWallet, 44% of Americans plan to take a vacation this year. This summer, travelers spending close to $4,000 in trip expenses.
Whoa.
I will not be spending that much.
I will say, the year I was not in the state of Indiana watching the Indy 500 in person, like on the television, was so weird. And I know that a couple years ago they enabled everybody to be able to do that, do the Peacock thing. Some people can do that.
Well,
but it was so weird.
I lived in northern Indiana for 25 years, and that's how you did it.
Well, you make a good point, because
we always watched it on TV.
I stand corrected. I used to go to my grandparents a lot of times for Memorial Day, and they lived in Terre Haute, and you could watch it live in Terre Haute too.
Right.
But there's just something about listening to the race on WIBC.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't until I actually lived in Indianapolis that I even knew about this whole blackout thing, because we always had it on
That's
TV.
right. Yeah, this is the foreign land to you.
Right, exactly.
It's the old switcheroo.
Yeah,
you not being able to watch the 500.
It is. Another thing about traveling this summer, most people are choosing to do road trips. opting out of flying, even though the cost of airline tickets is down 5%.
No kidding.
More people are saying, nope, we're going to hit the road rather than be up in the air.
I wonder how much of that
does that really surprise you?
Gas being cheaper now, a little bit cheaper. I wonder how much gas plays into that.
Something else to keep in mind as you're planning your Memorial Day weekend. All Costco's are going to observe the holiday and close all locations in Indiana.
On the Monday?
On the Monday.
Okay.
So you can't swing by the Costco and get your plate of chicken wraps on your way to your big event because they will be closed.
But what I can do is get the heck out of here because it's time to. Oh, by the way, just to let you know, and I told you this yesterday.
What's that?
The good news for you today was that all of my guys went out after 1 o'clock.
I know.
At the PGA.
Thank you for paying attention today.
But tomorrow it's the switcheroo because they go out in the morning. they switch the tee times. So you're getting no effort tomorrow. But you got a full level of engagement today, Casey.
Yes, thank you. And I will plan accordingly tomorrow. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for listening today. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
You've heard about Terry Bush at R&R Agency for a long time. How easy he is to work with, and how he'll find you the best insurance coverage at the best rate. Now hear from one of his clients.
Hi, Terry. Just wanted to touch base with you and let you know I got your email yesterday, and just wanted to say thank you for all of your help. This has been one of the easiest things that I've done in transitioning to my new job. So of all the things that have been going on lately, you've made this quite easy. So I do appreciate all your help, and thank you again.
Terry has been helping people for over 35 years. If you're retiring early, self-employed, or need small group insurance, call 317-563-0868. That's 317-563-0868. Or go to rragency.org. rragency.org. As always, God bless America. Peace through strength and common sense government.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone. I went through it a while back. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text. Text PACK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast, absolutely free. Text PEC to 321-321. That's PACK to 321-321.
Products and statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or illness.
Hey, who's winning? What? Who's winning? Somebody spinning?
Race fans know the track is loud. For the hard of hearing, this confusion happens every day on the telephone. RelayIndiana.com can help. RelayIndiana.com is a free service that provides telephone access to the hard of hearing, so users have normal phone conversations through relay operators. Relay Indiana also provides free equipment to those who qualify. Enjoy the race and phone conversations. Visit RelayIndiana.com now.
Indy's biggest party is back. Miller Lite Carb Day with 2 headliners. Bret Michaels. The All-American Rejects. Miller Lite Carb Day. May 23rd at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Concert pit and VIP tickets on sale now at IMS.com.
Big Joe here for your trusted local independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical.
With a B&W Premier Club membership, you'll stay ahead of breakdowns and costly repairs. Our members get routine maintenance, priority scheduling, and exclusive discounts, saving you money and keeping your family comfortable all season long. Visit bplusw.com or call 317-214-0108 for more information.
B&W HVAC Plumbing and Electrical, your American Standard dealer since 1961.
I gave it a shot, and I came in and had the procedure done. To me, it was amazing because I don't think I ever breathed that clear. I wish I would have done it 20 years ago.
This week at Sullivan Hardware and Garden, get 30% off all patio furniture, wicker, Berlin Gardens, poly, cast aluminum, teak, and more.
It takes everyone in the community working together to create a brighter future. Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Visit liveunited.org to learn how you can help.
When you're high, you feel different. But if you feel different, you drive different. So don't drive high. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
On the level, on the go. 93 WIBC Indianapolis.
Coming up, Friday looks to have a more widespread threat.
It's the worst place you could ever work.
Get ready for potential changes on Indiana highways.
The run was later updated to a person shot.
This is the WIBC News at noon.
Chances of severe weather.
Nothing happening like that right now. Mostly sunny and 79 degrees in downtown Indianapolis. I'm Ryan Hedrick.
And I'm John Herrick. Here's what's trending at 12 noon. There might be some bad weather in Indiana later today, but Alex McGinnis with the National Weather Service in Indianapolis says he's keeping his eye on tomorrow as well.
Friday looks to have a more widespread threat. We'll call it certainly numerous strong to severe storms with the potential for widespread storms, especially across the southern counties.
He says you can expect warm temperatures, high humidity, and more.
Staffing issues are just some of the problems that one former CVS employee in Indianapolis says that you need to watch out for.
It's the worst place you could ever work.
Katie Forbes is a doctor of pharmacy. She left CVS after she said there were unsafe staffing levels that led to frequent medication mistakes.
Patients are getting the wrong medications, they're getting other people's meds, they're getting it's just insane what's going on. And I don't know how CVS has gotten away with this for so long.
Forbes worked at the 24-hour CVS location on 16th and Meridian Streets, just 2 blocks away from Methodist Hospital. She said there was only ever one pharmacist on at a time.
The purposeful understaffing. They keep perpetuating this narrative of there's a staffing issue, there's a pharmacist shortage, there's technician, there's no shortage. There's no shortage at all.
And that's Wish TV's Danielle Zukowski reporting. This CVS store was cited by the Indiana Board of Pharmacy for expired medications, loose pills.